Okay. Well, when I woke up, before I could review, scrub through some of the last night's stream, I found it was removed. And I appealed it, and just a few minutes later, I got this back. We reviewed your content carefully and have confirmed that it violates our medical misinformation policy. So I listened to the Drunk Hotel interview, which was like a 3-hour podcast. Hey Veronica, good to see you. So here's what we did. I guess my only guess is that after the drunk, because they never talk about COVID. That was a pre-COVID thing. At the then I played episode 4 something, and this was the tiny bullhorn one. But among the tiny bullhorn thing, they did talk about COVID. But Dan wasn't doing misinformation. If this was like an AI that was picking up, was like just like scrubbing the audio for someone saying that vaccines don't work or something, maybe the fact that I just said that just now is going to say like, oh, this is medical misinformation. There's no way to appeal this to a person. Like, this is all robots that I'm dealing with. And I've heard about this. I've watched other videos of content creators talking about this shit, where like when you appeal something, it's just like, okay, appeal, and no, it's, and it doesn't even like pretend like they considered what your appeal said. Because in my appeal, I was like, I wrote that it was debunking misinformation. Like, we were listening to someone maybe we were listening to someone say misinformation, and then we are hearing someone like correct that misinformation. And YouTube doesn't seem to know the fucking difference at all. Or doesn't care. It's just robot stuff. So, and I had like 0 viewers all night too. So I was harming the community by all the people who were tuning into my live stream for medical knowledge about COVID. And for that, I beg your forgiveness. You weren't here, Veronica. You dodged a bullet. You almost got misinformed too. And then everyone would have probably flipped out. You probably would have like stole all your neighbor's ivermectin in like a freak, like a dissociated state. You just wake up covered in horse paste. And it would have been all my fault. Well, whatever. What we can do is maybe take a look at what we did last night. I'm trying a little bit slightly different approach to how I'm going to animate the character faces. I've decided to put Alex, to just do Alex's head as a separate layer, and then the body as a separate layer. What the heck? Okay, I hope all this stuff is still in the right place. Okay, yeah, here we go. So, network scene 2 is the document here. You did just misinform me. Think of the cats who are listening. Oh, the cats. Their little virgin ears. Okay, so here, this is the reference photo. And here's my recreation of it. And I'm not sure because there's a whole thing. Alex goes way off script, so I'm not really gonna be able to do this like shot for shot or anything. But basically, in the film, it's just this, and then they just zoom in to the same shot. It's like the same camera angle. So that should be easy enough to do. I can just sort of zoom in to that. But I wanted to animate. Oh no, where's it? I'm just like confused because a lot of my my last projects come up right away and they're not there at all. I was just because I was moving files and backing up files. I have another version of this that I was animating the Alex's body. So basically, I just had the body gesticulating and raising his arms up around so that I can animate those body movements separately from the head, the face expressions. It'll just give me a little more freedom with that stuff. So hold on, this is network scene 2. So I need to go to network scene 2 AJ moves. That's what it is. That looks so good. Thank you. Yeah, I think I managed to make it look like the scene, but I've kind of made it look a little better because or like not better, but to me just more colorful, but still dark and moody. I wanted it to pop a little more, just so that it looks like it's my style, but that I'm clearly like trying to copy the movie shots. Then the next thing I started working on until I got really sleepy is when we zoom out from here, we're on a film set. So we'll have all these Alex heads. I might do a few more. What I'd like to do actually is get the transcript out, and then I can kind of figure out which faces I want for which parts. And like some parts of the monologue, I don't need a face for it because we'll be looking at Jordan or something. We'll be seeing something else. So I don't necessarily need like faces for every single part of the monologue. Beep, 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 beep. Look at this little guy. He looks like a dollop of whipped cream. Ooh. Ooh, boy. All right. So that sucks that I don't even know now what's gonna trigger my channel, because this channel got a warning. Okay, they said if it happens again, it will be a strike, and if it's 3 strikes, then my account is terminated. Does that mean all of my accounts are terminated, or would it just be the live stream account? Would I still be able to have my kudos 2 with the cartoons? And is it gonna nab the fucking cartoons for misinformation? Because that would be some bullshit. Like, we're making fun of that kind of thing. To quote the great Spinal Tap. No, we're making fun of that kind of thing. I'm scared. I want to talk to like Mark Bankston or someone, or maybe someone who specializes in the YouTube thing. But what the fuck? Because I wasn't drawing any misinformation. Although, isn't fiction misinformation? What? One thing I thought is that I just can't let Alex, like, if they talk about vaccines or COVID, I have to just, like, fast forward through it. So I'm just a little peeved off that, and it's just gonna get into this shit now. Like, everything I post, they could now be like, strike, 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 and I don't know. Like, I guess 3 is enough. I mean, if it gets to 2, I'll just probably fucking stop altogether. But because I don't want it to affect all my other channels, if just this channel got banned, could I just start another one? I mean, there's nobody. There's only people who are already in the know to come here to watch these live streams. This is more like a secret club. It's not like a fucking. It's not a thing I'm promoting. You know what I mean? Know what I'm saying? So the idea that I'm like disseminating information is ridiculous because like 2 people, maybe 5 people total that I've like ever see come in here and hang out. So could I just do a different one? My feelings are totally valid. It's man versus machine kind of bullshit, but it's really not. It's more people versus people, where a person has basically set up a machine to speak on its behalf. So it's really people versus people. But like, one person's pretending not to care or doesn't care. I mean, pretending to care. But by like, oh, we'll just have a robot deal with this. Because I mean, if we had real people looking at this, we'd have to pay all of them so much of our money that we want. It claims there's humans in the review process, but if there were, I didn't hear from them, and they're either so busy that they're just like, how do you do the review process? Oh, you click this folder, and this brings up all your open cases. It says you have 12,072. So just go and click select all, and reject. There you go. Because it's better safe than sorry, you know. Like if you reject something that was fine, that's like doesn't matter. But if we let something bad go through, then we could get sued. So better safe than sorry. Just fuck off. Fuck them all. Fuck all of them. We're going to lunch. Are you hungry? We're gonna get steaks, but we can't get in until 8 o'clock. That was a rotten thing for them to do. Take the humans out. Yeah. And like, it's a 4-hour video, and I can't see it. I mean, I think if I go into a thing through my thing, I can like watch the video to try to like identify where it was from, but it was like, it just brought up a black screen and a endless scrolling wheel bar, and it just never loaded up. I was like waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting. So I don't know. I wasn't able to even do anything. So I don't know. Maybe we can't play that episode. Maybe we can't play any any episode that's like post 2020, if Alex mentions like bullshit about that specific bullshit, it has to be about medical misinformation. I'm sure it was related to COVID or vaccines, but it's not specific enough. You'd think if it was an AI bot who was like, oh, this is the little part identified, it would give me a timestamp. It would give me, like, here's what was said. And if I could identify what they said and that's what triggered it, that would be so much more helpful than just saying, it actually violated this rule. And what is that rule? Oh, this rule is that you can't claim medical misinformation, which includes this, or this, and or this. So all I know is that there's this big, broad category. It probably works really well for like if someone really maliciously did something and then they kind of feel guilty about it, the robot's just like, you know what you did. You know what you did. You broke this category of rule, didn't you? And then your own guilty conscience would be like, oh, God, I did. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry for lying. Oh, it just felt so good to lie, but now I see the error of my ways. Graphic violence he spews on a regular basis. Ugh. Yeah. Graphic violence has never been a problem for YouTube or anybody. I think, I don't know if your parents were like this, but my parents were somewhat strict about watching content, and they were way more strict about sex than violence. Like if a movie, if there was a rated R movie to watch, they just had to know that like, oh, it's rated R for violence, not for sex. And then it would be fine for us to watch. That's fucking bizarre. But I think a lot of people's parents had exactly the same attitude. It's like, violence is fine. Then it's way too inappropriate for kids. God forbid you see a penis, right? That it's like, oh, it's X-rated, it's pornographic, it's devil. But yeah, violence, ripping people's heads off, guts, and all that shit. I don't know what's more psychologically damaging. The fact that I've seen like all these murders, and I still saw the sexy stuff anyway. Like, you're gonna seek it out. So it's not like they actually kept it from me. Maybe they did at a too young of age. I'll never know. I'll never know what I would have seen had my meddling mother not interfered. All right. Well, I'd like to work on the film set. It's kind of bullshit with these cameras. I have no idea how these cameras are supposed to look. That's kind of the point, is to watch all the art being made. It's not really about listening to the podcast. Like, you wouldn't watch this live stream as like your of digesting the second time listens, So what did movie cameras look like in the 70s? Okay, that's kind of it. It has like a round thing on top. It has two round things. But look, come on. This shouldn't be a hard thing. It's because I've streamed before where I'm able to quickly Google a thing and then go to images and see some pictures of it. But I don't want to see it from this angle. I want it behind. It's kind of from the front. Boo, 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 boo. Oh, this is so fucking ridiculous. These little things, they're needling me. They're needling me. Google, you make me rely on you, and then you just like, don't work. Oh, and YouTube's technically Google too. Technically, YouTube is Google. Oh no. Everything's blurry, low quality. Yeah, so this is pointing the wrong way. But I could use this in another scene or another angle. I don't know if these look right. This kind of looks like a Canon digital camera with like a pizza tray on top of it. Not quite the right look. What the fuck is going on with my goddamn internet? This site can't be reached. This site can never be reached. I'm still streaming, I think. According to Live Stream Studio, I am still live. But it's not smooth. Oh boy. So if I listen to the podcast, I just gotta be aware if it says anything about medicine. And then what can I do? Can I cut it off mid-sentence? Can I try to correct what was said? Or will they just think that I'm doing it? Like, if I correct misinformation, what if my correction isn't correct? What if I make an error? An honest red-blooded error when when trying to correct misinformation. Like, I can't even talk about it without talking about it, right? Let's make up a new thing. Let's say there's a thing called a a blablu. And if you get a blablu, it has a 85% chance to protect you from blum blum. Okay? Now, do people want blum blum? Sure. No, probably not. You don't want to get blum blum. And all the the blum blum experts, the world blum blum experts, the WBE, it recommends one thing, but if I was to say like, oh, I think I heard on the blum blum experts say that the blob blob, is that right? The blob blob that can protect you from the blum blum, they maybe they're liars. Maybe they're just in it for the moolah, right? Because turns out that they're actually friends with the people who sell the blum blum. And what if some idiot's like, the blum blum kills, my friend died from the blum blum. And I could say, where's the evidence, dog, that the blum blum's actually killing people? It actually saved my grandparents from the blah, right? Because my other grandparents died from blah because they didn't have the blum blum. And then once they took the blum blum, they got a little bit of blah, but it was only a smaller amount, and they were able to recover from blah. All I've done is shared personal anecdotes. I've shared the controversy. I've maybe made some wrong statements that are maybe factually wrong. But was I spreading misinformation from about blah blah or bumbalum or moolah? I don't know. I don't think I was. But if you maybe clipped a single sentence where I said something like blah blah kills you, and you took out all the other context, a robot could say, you said misinformation about blah blah blah, and we will send you to the Bibelborg. Okay? So these are all hypothetical situations that I'm talking about, that the robot, if the robot learns what Bibelbarb is, then I'm cooked. I'm fucked. Then they got my ass. Oh, look at that. I just did it again, and it worked. These cameras are pretty sick. This is the kind I want to draw. But I want it to turn around. Turn around like you're seeing it from the cameraman's point of view. Maybe I should write movie cameraman. Or camera woman. So yeah, we always see him from here. I want to see the camera person who's filming the camera person. Female cameraman. Side view, that's cool. I want to see behind the shoulder, over the shoulder. Get fucked. Not too shabby, Google. But that's on the shoulder. I want it to be on a tripod, but I'm looking over their shoulder. Like that. I don't want a modern camera. I want it to look like what was, one of those old-timey guys, like this guy. What the fuck is that? Looks like a water canteen. This is what I need. That, what does it look like if you were this guy who has the real enough shirt? I want to see from his perspective what we're looking at. do they see like a big, like what's on the back of it? Is there a screen? Is there like a? I'm imagining it's a little TV screen where they can see what the cameraman sees. But maybe not, because none of these have that. But this is like for setup for a movie. I have to go deeper. Let's go like 70s film behind the scenes. Okay, here we're cooking. So, yeah. What is all this? What is all this? Holy shit. I guess. Wow. So it's got like hydraulics and all this bullshit. It does have the kind of round thing, but what's the point of these two little windows there? So there is some shit to look at, but not a big old screen. Huh. Well, this is good. This is pretty much what I wanted to see. I wanted to see like a legit movie camera. What does it look like from over here? We're gonna save this to our reference pile. I think I have just reference. Ref pics. There we go. What else? I want to see another one. Okay. Ooh. I like this. I like this angle. Imagine that's Dan and that's Jordan. Or maybe have this be Jordan holding the script. And Dan back here operating the camera. I like just like the way that's framed up. And if I could draw the camera from the front and from the back, then we could be really cooking. Ref pics. Okay. I kind of like this side view as well. Okay. Planet of the Not finding any other good. Oh man, come on. Okay.
Andy in Kansas.
All right. Let's listen to 136. And if you hear any medical misinformation, Just scream. Scream bloody murder. Just immediately call the FBI. If you hear that. And I don't want to listen on my headphones, so I'm going to have to keep the mic muted while we listen. But I've got chat here. It's constantly disconnecting and reconnecting, but we'll deal with it. We're streaming. Excellent connection. Okay, great. Thanks. And I don't know. Well, I'm going to probably do a few hours now. We might take a break and then come back tonight and stream more. It depends on how I'm feeling. But I kind of woke up kind of early, which means I'll probably be wanting a nap at some point. Red alert, red alert, red alert. All right, here we go.
You're on the air. Thanks for holding.
Hello, Alex. I'm a first-time caller. I'm a huge fan. I love your work.
I love you.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Knowledge Fight. I'm Dan.
I'm Jordan.
We're a couple dudes who like to sit around, drink novelty beverages, and talk a little bit about Alex Jones.
Indeed, that is what we do, Dan.
Yes.
Dan.
Jordan.
Why in God's name would you listen to this podcast?
Maybe you're disenchanted with meaningless talk. I couldn't keep that up.
You have come to the wrong place.
Yeah, this is all a hot load of bullshit. I don't know.
I think. Hold on.
You know what?
Are we gonna?
You gotta.
Because I don't know anything about Alex Jones.
I know a lot about him. We've got to change that from why would anyone listen to this show to like what is the like. I don't know how to fix this.
You're giving me notes?
No, because I didn't finish.
I thought we got a good bit out of it. I thought we got a good joke.
Next bit is going to be us having a meeting about our introduction. Jordan, today we have
I hate it when my boss comes down on me.
Oh, it's going to be a horrible meeting for you.
Oh.
You don't need to sit down.
Okay.
It's one of the... I've had a lot of those meetings in my life.
Pack up your things and leave my room.
Yeah. The studio.
Yeah.
So, Jordan, today we got an interesting show, but before we get to it, I would like to give a shout-out to a couple of new donors.
Hey!
We're thrilled about it. Thank you so much. First of all, going out to Dan G.
I'm a policy wonk.
Thank you so much, Dan. Great name. Love it. Strong name. Congratulations on becoming a policy wonk.
Yes, and you will be joining Dan for his next podcast. How great is Dan?
Dan's a Dan of a Dan of the people, a Dan for all seasons. Any of these could be the name of my Dan-themed podcast.
I'm a big fan of Dan on Fire, starring
Sure. First episode of the podcast, Dan Cortez.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Second episode,
Wilford Brimley?
Yes.
Okay.
Also, like to give a shout out to another new donor. What's going on out there, Fred?
I'm a policy wonk.
Thank you so much, Fred.
Thank you very much, Fred.
I'm a policy.
Jesus.
My iTunes is real glitchy. But thank you. We appreciate it. Congratulations on becoming a policy wonk. If you would like to become a policy wonk, all you folks out there listening, you can go to our website, knowledgefight.com, click the support the show button, and it will be a done deal. You'll be a policy wonk.
Is that how you become a policy wonk?
That or
Dan, it sounds too easy.
It sounds too good to be true.
Oh, how could you?
Yeah.
Have you ever tried to donate to a podcast and you're like, I don't know what's going on? Well, click the support the show button. Yep.
That's the best way. So, Jordan, I've teased this, and today we are beginning the next investigation into Alex Jones's past. Famously, over the course of most of last year, we dug deep into what happened to get Alex Jones to join up with Team Trump.
Right.
And we came away with a pretty solid consensus that it was artificial inflation of his traffic via dummies and bots. Because he admitted on air that his traffic had tripled and his sales were flat.
Yeah.
Mysteriously, no one buying anything, but 3 times the traffic. It's very suspicious. Also, the insidious influences of Roger Stone and Steve Pachenik showing up with their 45 group right around the same time.
Right.
So we've got a pretty good handle on that. There's other intricacies that you can go back and listen to hundreds of hours of recording about.
Yes.
Perhaps laboriously covered.
It is maybe the most exhaustive the Oh yeah, you knew why.
Yeah. It's one of the most in-depth and long investigations that no one asked for.
No.
And it turns out I'm doing another. I am interested to figure out. Alex Jones presents himself as the person who's most responsible for the Tea Party.
Right.
He believes himself to be a leader of the Tea Party from the jump. And I want to explore the realities or lies therein. Also, along the way, biologist.
Right.
I think,
and it's more interesting, I think, to go back to 2008 just because he is still radar back then.
It's true.
Compared to now, where he's showing up in all kinds of places that he wishes he weren't.
Consistent through all of his history.
Right.
But we will get in.
Game recognized game, Dan.
We'll get into all of the intricacies and nonsense along the way. And I'm just going to admit it up front. I started this investigation too early. I didn't know.
So we're going to have an even more exhaustive investigation.
I didn't know when the primary season started in earnest. And so I started on March 30th of 2008. So today we're covering March 30th and 31st, 2008. And at this point, nothing about the primary.
Really?
At one point, never mind. That's a spoiler for another episode. He's not anti-Obama at this point.
No.
He's not at all.
Okay.
In fact, he has an interview with someone that we'll talk about on a future episode where
he's too anti-Hillary to...
And he's saying stuff like Obama is going to get killed because he's an outsider. That sort of stuff.
Right,
that's where his mind is at this point. But still, no talk about the primaries, no real talk about the election at all.
So strange because if you this election we just had lasted 8 years.
It twisted my mind into thinking, of course they'll be talking about this in March.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it makes you think that that's a reasonable thing for an election to take 3 years.
No. Turns out it was not a hot topic back then. But what was? Let's start on March 30th and see what Alex is obsessed about.
Okay.
Spoiler out about CERN.
And they shoot different particles of lead and uranium and plutonium and gold and other elements at the speed of light into other elements, or they accelerate them towards each other. And these things cost hundreds of billions of dollars to build. The European Union built the biggest one. They've got a whole bunch of them here in the U.S. And I'm going to get a bunch of top scientists and physicists on about the UFO
about
stuff.
seven?
Look,
About
I don't
grip of
cover
them?
Yeah. Yep.
stuff that isn't documented. Royal Society, the most prestigious in the world, who's a physicist, wrote up toward the planet or the solar system.
And you're kind of like, oh shit, maybe all of these people are quacks.
There's a matter of vetting that Alex doesn't do, and we're starting to realize that other places don't do as good a job of it either.
Right, no kidding.
We had made a lot of assumptions, and it turns out some of these people, oh boy, they belong on InfoWars.
Right.
So it's trouble. It's trouble. Alex is pretty obsessed about this, and he says that he's going to get these physicists on who aren't quacks.
Right.
And we will be dealing with that a little bit later. Suffice it to say, I mean, not today. We'll be dealing with it on the next episode. Doing too much. I have some knowledge of the next couple episodes, so I this is a difficult place for me to be in.
So they're getting a physicist who graduated from the homeopathy university, or
No.
what kind of physicists are we getting?
From what I can tell, this guy's actually pretty legit in terms of his credentials. But at the same time, he's a guy who in 1999 said that colliding particles against each other will create huge black holes and destroy the universe, and it didn't. And then here in 2008, he's trying to sue to stop CERN from being opened, and it doesn't work out because the judge says that he's failed to prove in any way that there's, the potential threat that would merit it. Oh, and also, U.S. courts don't have jurisdiction over European scientific experiments.
Odd.
Exactly.
Wait, so why did the judge even bother?
Because I don't know.
He was just he was like, well, this is better than some of my other cases I've taken recently. Might as well rule on this.
I'm bored.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know exactly the process wherein you decide what gets on the docket and what doesn't.
Because you would just toss it out. You don't have you don't have standing.
Yeah.
I mean, unless you really believe it, in which case, of course you do. The entire world is going to be turned into a black hole.
See, in that sense, I think you do have.
Hello, Colbella. And you're excited I'm doing the network speech. the Facebook group is going to flip. All right, well, that's good to hear. Yeah, nice to get the whole crew back together. Yeah. So, Cobella, if you didn't hear, I got a warning for spreading medical misinformation, which I can only assume was because I was playing Knowledge Fight, who was playing Alex, who was spreading medical misinformation. But it was to make fun of him. But the AI didn't even know the difference. And I appealed it, and it said no on my appeal. It said, it was very draconian. It was just like, you have violated this policy. Would you like to appeal it? Yes. Okay. You have violated this policy. Thank you. Your appeal is rejected. Have a great day. So that's what it did. And so I'm scared. And now, pretty much, like, I don't know. Whenever I play something that is coming through Knowledge Fight, I'm going to have to maybe think about if he's actually breaking YouTube policy. I don't know. It's weird. It's super weird. We don't know what to do. But right now we're drawing the backstage film set of Network, where Dan and Jordan will be joking around and listening to, or, talking about how Alex is doing a very bad job at reciting the monologue. It's going to be funny. And we're listening to 136. Which animation? So it was from last night. It wasn't an animation. It was a live stream video that got removed. Thankfully. It was last night. I was listening to, I think it was when we were listening to Tiny Bullhorn, because that's the only one that talked about COVID. The other episode we listened to was pre-COVID. Yeah, so maybe I should make that clear. It was a live stream that was removed. Yeah. So, but that means, and it was not a great live stream. Nobody was watching. I wasn't talking much, but I did work on the art, and I figured just out of like curiosity, people would want to see that. But there was a lot of connection problems, and it was constantly interrupting and disconnecting. So it was probably a really rough listen. It's probably a pretty, of all the live streams, it's, I don't care that much. Like I didn't do anything that I need to like reference it. We didn't have like a big productive thing with lots of people chatting. So those kind of ones, I like to have a record of them. It didn't even let me download the video. Like, what if I just wanted to keep it for my own records? I didn't have any way of doing that, which kind of sucks. But occasionally I'd like to have these live streams up so that in case like I could go back and like, what were we listening to? What was I working on? Just as like a thing to remember it. My memory's so awful. But yeah. So if it happens again, if it removes another video automatically, because it'll also give me a strike. And if I get 3 strikes, then it will terminate my account. And I don't know if it means it'll terminate all my accounts or just this live stream one. Kudos Live at 5. Because I could make more of these live stream channels. It wouldn't be too bad. I've done it before. Making a new channel just to do live streams. I'm not trying to like advertise these to the world. These are just for like, you have to search them out and then you're here, Whatever. Anyway, it's good to see you. I'm really kind of dilly-dallying right now. If you have ideas, what else should I populate this room with to make it look like a film set? think it already looks like a film set, but I don't know if it's. There's just I have some blank space here. There's just like some shelves and like coiled cables. At least let the even if they take it down. Yeah, and I don't have like infinite hard drive space. I actually kind of have a pretty small hard drive in this new computer. Otherwise, I would be just recording all my live streams myself. But that just gets so cluttered. And like I don't want it like a 7-hour long video on my hard drive. I'm straddling the line between a bit of realistic perspective and like scale and like layout of making it look like a 3D environment. But I also really like this kind of stuff. I like when you can see the brush strokes. Like I want it to be very obvious that this is like drawn or painted or like that it's artificial. To me, that sort of enhances the charm of it. So like the really badly drawn stackies and the glass in the bottle, like I just like how they look. I never want to like improve them and like draw them more realistic. There's the little bit of jankiness, as long as you know exactly what it is I'm drawing, and if you can see like the brush strokes, I kind of like that. I don't want to do it for every single thing always, but I like leaving those in there so that when you see this at a glance, it's like, oh, this was drawn. Like I can see the paint, I can see the edge of the paper, the little mistakes and stuff, little gaps. I really like that. So sometimes it can bother me at first, but then I can like, oh, maybe I should fix it. It's going to be really brief too, the amount that we see this, because this is just a background. We're going to have Dan and Jordan like in the foreground here. This is just a scrap or whatever, but like they'll be here talking and like, pointing over at Alex. In the foreground. So maybe I won't worry too much about it. All the background stuff we'll see here will just be a blink of an eye. So maybe we can put an Easter egg or something cool, like a little reference. I like my coffee like I like my kitty cats right beside me. I don't know. I think that's a great twist on the "I like my coffee like something" joke. Change my mind. Let's hear your "I like my coffee" jokes. What do you like your coffee like? You like some other thing too. Hot and black? Classic. A lot of people like it hot and black.
Standing.
Well, exactly.
But in terms of jurisdiction,
Yeah.
you do not.
The sheriff is the highest law
That is true.
in the land.
Speaking of someone whose name sounds like a sheriff,
All right, that was a perfect transition.
especially since I did a finger gun.
You did do a finger gun.
On this episode, pretty early on, Alex Jones has a visit from one Jim Mars. I don't know if you know who Jim Mars is.
No.
He's a gentleman who is notoriously isn't the right word. He's pretty roundly looked at as one of the world's premier conspiracy theorists.
Okay.
Like, he's a big guy.
How do you become a premier conspiracy
He
theorist?
wrote
Are your conspiracies better than everybody else's?
He wrote a bunch of books about JFK, and sort of he's seen as on the forefront of the JFK conspiracy.
I don't know what that means.
He also taught like an accredited college class on conspiracies, and I think it's him out of the muck into academia to some
All right.
extent.
So he's a professor of the conspiracy theories that he makes up.
Yeah, but
All right.
but also, it's important to know that he also wrote 2 books about ancient aliens.
Oh,
So
okay. All right.
I don't like.
The more we learn about ancient aliens, Dan, the more they are still from there and not here.
The stuff like the conversations that you want to have about JFK, I'm all ears for. You know,
Yes.
like I am open to the anti-Castro Cubans, the CIA, the mafia. I'm open to hearing any of these because that is a really fucked up thing that happened.
Right.
And I'm willing to believe that there was some sort of conspiracy involved there.
And you know what? Frankly, it's just a more fun world if
Somewhat,
it wasn't
yes.
just one lunatic who killed him.
I don't
You
know.
know?
I don't know if it's fun.
It's a more fun world.
Perhaps.
It's a more fantastical world. It's a more movie-like.
Whatever the case
Yeah.
may be.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
might or might not agree with you.
I think
But-
it was actually Sirhan who did it.
He did
who
both of
He
them?
did both.
Oh, boy.
It was a double tap.
I don't know if it's more fun, but I don't think you're crazy if you believe in JFK conspiracies.
Yes.
I think we can have
In
a
certain JFK conspiracy.
Yeah, I'll listen to all of them, but yeah, you're right. There is a line.
Yeah, there's a line.
There's a
yeah,
line.
yeah.
I do think you're crazy if you believe in ancient aliens
Okay.
conspiracy.
All right.
That's the line I want to make, and
Right.
Jim Mars is on both sides of that. So I consider him to be someone who has credibility problems, but also researches.
If you say he's one of the foremost conspiracy theorists, that's the end of credibility
Somewhat.
to me.
So he's on the show to talk about RFK. He's here to talk about the RFK assassination.
Right.
And so here's a little clip of that.
Well, of course, this is actually nothing new. Me and many other people, almost since the time of the Robert Kennedy assassination, have loudly tried to shout out that he was not killed by Sirhan, who cannot remember anything that happened. Since
So
he was
says
probably
Sirhan.
But
Who might
what is
have a
happening
vested
is, and
interest.
what makes these stories significant is that after all these years and after all the
That's how serious he was. He spent so much time going overseas and seeing all of this starvation firsthand.
Yeah.
And he had really made this change, and he was going to win. Like, he was crushing the other candidate at the time, who was what? Walter Mondale or whatever? Humphrey. God.
In the primary.
Yeah.
And then Humphrey lost to... Yeah, look, this is, again, a conversation that I'm fine having.
Right.
I don't think you're super crazy if you believe this. But also, the idea that Sirhan did it also isn't crazy.
Oh, yeah, no, absolutely not.
I'm going to read to you from the court transcript of Sirhan's trial.
Sirhan, quote, "Oh, I totally did that shit."
He's
End
asked.
quote.
He's asked. So then there was a time the love turned to hate because he had previously to this said that he liked RFK.
Yes.
Kennedy was a candidate for the president of the United States, right? His answer: yes, it was during the time he was, but not exactly specifically when it turned into hate. Not only that, hate really, because I still loved him. But when he came out with his support for the state of Israel, and when he said he would give them 50 Phantom jet bombers to Israel, and then the questioning resumes. At that time, he was the candidate for president of the United States. Answer: yes. Question: you say it wasn't until all of that you hate him. Hate then, and then he's cut off. No, but it was enough for me, sir, that anything that has to do with Israel or the Zionists or support of Israel, that is enough, but not all of that. Answer: well, enough, sir, to have an impression only. Question: enough to kill him? Answer: I don't know about that, sir. Question: well, didn't you just tell us here a few days ago that if you had him right there, you would have blasted him? The answer: at the time he came out and said he would send those 50 jet bombers, I would have done that. Question: you would have done that? Answer: yes, I'm a very impulsive person. Whatever my objective would be.
This is a great conversation.
Whatever, good for that time only. So.
This is.
I think they should have tried to keep the dude alive to sort of investigate a little bit, you know, because the fact that the dude who killed JFK got killed by another dude before, before like it got really investigated. Like he just got shot like on the way to like the first hearing or something. I don't remember exactly how far they were in the process, but with the guy who did the Trump thing, it might have been helpful to interrogate that dude a little bit. Just jump on his ass. But instead, they just let him fire off a few shots before they went ahead and neutralized him. That's fucking weird. And I think Alex is going to say deep state, right? Which is great. It's just the perfect, like, nefarious anybody.
Wrote in they found his diary.
Yeah.
I think that was what might have happened with this guy. Yeah, I don't know anything about the RFK assassination. But yeah, all tying together. There's always some idea of like connecting Alex's past words and doing a kind of like compilation. One I thought of was with the before and after the debate of like Alex saying they're going to do this and this and this, and then cut to after the debate and he's saying exactly the opposite. But I don't know how fun that would be, how actually funny it would be.
And there was an entry that said, "My determination to eliminate RFK is becoming more and more of an unshakable obsession. RFK must die. RFK must be killed. Robert F. Kennedy must be assassinated." So
These guys always keep a diary, don't they?
But that's because they're fucking mentally ill.
I know. That's what I'm saying.
There's
they
a
always
compulsion.
keep a diary.
There's a
Well, yeah.
compulsion.
I mean, if you write RFK must die twice, like
Right.
a teenage girl writing that she loves somebody,
Yeah.
you're going to kill that person.
Most likely.
Yeah.
And, psychiatrists and psychologists have gone on record and say that he's like a manipulative person and also of dual natures and fairly schizophrenic. And that falls in line with someone who would probably want to tell you that I don't remember that murder.
Never heard of it.
Right. I
Yeah.
mean, and if you believe a murderer who says, I don't remember that murder, that's on you. Because as we went over on that Project Camelot episode about Mark Richards, he says he was off planet during the murder he was involved
Well,
with.
he was.
So are you going to take him at his word?
I would assume so.
I don't know. I'm going to look at a preponderance of the evidence, and I'm going to say,
The FBI did it.
fine. You can have that. You can have that. I'm not as convinced of that, and Jim Mars would have more credibility if he hadn't written 2 books about ancient aliens. And if he didn't say this. They get into talking about Americans who supported the Nazis.
Of the
Yeah,
bank.
the names of prominent Americans who supported Hitler is pretty amazing. You've got Watson of IBM, you've got Henry Ford of Ford Motor Company, you've got Chase Bank and John J. McCloy,
Chase
you've got
Bank is
the
a person.
Dulles brothers.
Nope. And Alex brings up the Bushes, but conspicuous in their absence from that list is Fred Koch.
Never heard of him.
The Koch brothers' father, Fred Koch,
No idea.
In World War II, he partnered with an American Nazi sympathizer named William Rhodes Davis to help build the 3rd largest oil refinery in the Third Reich. He also made a ton of money selling cracking stills to Stalin. And then, after that, he would go on to create the anti-communist and anti-Semitic John Birch Society.
Yeah.
Mysterious in his absence, though, in that list. There's a lot of people that they list. And Fred Koch is a big one among those names.
I mean, I sure he may have had an outsized impact. Sure, he may be perhaps personally responsible for at least 40% of a lot of the war crimes.
Well, I mean,
But he doesn't remember it. He said that he didn't know what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
He was like, he felt like he might have done it at the time, but he wasn't sure.
Oh, you're going with the Sirhan.
Exactly.
Sirhan defense.
The Sirhan defense is my favorite chess opening gambit.
What's super interesting, if you look at the history of Fred Koch, too, is that when he went over and worked with Stalin, He came back as an anti-communist. He was really anti what he saw over there.
Right.
This was not the case with fascism.
Oh, no.
He did not become like an anti-fascist dude, and still him and his sons have trafficked with Nazi sympathizers and Holocaust deniers for a large part of their careers and lives. So that's interesting to me. I don't know. I don't know if it's like intentional leaving them off the list, because you do have those people. I mean, we talked about Watson. He definitely had some inclination towards
Ford. Absolutely.
He also was responsible for disseminating the protocols of the Elders of Zion at one point. You know, there is a lot of troubling history of U.S. business interests and the Nazis.
I mean, if you run your business like a fascist dictator, you have to assume that you're going to be a big fan of fascist dictator.
Yeah.
I mean, like Ford had a morality code, and you had to do all of this shit, and there was a whole like lifestyle that you had to live by just to work for him. Like, he controlled every aspect of your life.
Right.
That guy is going to be like, dictators are pretty cool.
Yeah.
I'd do it.
Well, I get the mentality that you're describing, but I'm just talking about, like, why isn't this on the list?
Oh,
why aren't you? And to be fair, this isn't the strongest sentiment that I have, but it's curious. Because Alex does talk about these Americans who worked with Nazis all the time.
Yeah.
And Fred Koch never comes up.
Well, of course not.
And so that might be a little reason to be suspicious. Also, it turns out I don't think that they think Hitler was that bad.
Well, they put Hitler in power and then set him up. I mean,
They set him up.
You know, but that's all mainstream.
Here's Bible teacher Kay Arthur.
If you could only visit one country, one nation on the face of this earth, it should be Israel, because then you'll never be the same.
To start planning your trip to Israel today, call 1-888-77-ISRAEL or visit www.goisrael.com.
You'll never be the same.
So that's weird.
That's weird.
This is even weirder. Listen to this.
Here's a word about Israel from Dr. Jack Hayford, president of the International Church of the Foursquare Gospel.
The Israeli government.
Well, yeah, it had to be.
Right.
We're travel agents.
No, this is from the Israeli government tourism board.
And he was the head of the Foursquare Church?
I don't care.
I do. I want to know exactly what kind of Foursquare they're playing.
No
like,
cherry
do they
bombs.
Well, you got to have cherry bombs.
No cherry bombs.
You can't not have cherry bombs.
Look, you're glossing over something that I find incredibly weird. Because I want to make it totally clear off the top. I don't think this in any way proves that Alex Jones is an agent of Israel like so many of his critics claim.
No, of course not.
But it is proof, like indisputable proof, that Genesis Communications Network was making ad revenue off the Israeli government in 2008.
Well, yeah.
And that's wild. Because I don't hear any other commercials for go to Guatemala or go to other countries.
I don't know why the Israeli government was like, InfoWars is where we're going to get some great tourists.
Right.
That's bananas to me.
There's that.
They must have just been blanket, let's put ads out on everything and not really paying attention to what they're doing.
See, I don't think it was InfoWars. I think it was Genesis Communications Network.
Right.
I think it's a network thing.
So this is before Alex had his own 24-hour.
Well, I mean, most of the commercials that play are for Endgame, the documentary, and other documentaries. Most of it is in-house commercials for his documentaries and books and stuff. And then every now and again, something like this. And I got to be honest, it threw me for a crazy loop.
Yeah?
I don't know what to make of it.
So after go to Israel.com, you were never the same?
I'm still the same. But I'm confused.
You'll never be the same.
That's almost as good as Diamond Gusset. But it's crazy, man. It is nuts. I don't again, I don't.
Why is that so nuts to you?
Because, look, I don't agree with their conclusion, but one of the pieces of argument that Alex's anti-Semitic critics make against him is absolutely true. Genesis Communications was making money directly from the government of Israel.
Yeah, but that's just it was the tourism board.
Right.
Like the tourism board,
It's
there's
it's
so
part
many
of the government.
So many you see billboards and shit for like go to Mexico. Like this is a Royal Caribbean cruise ad.
I understand that you see like go to Wyoming on the CTA buses.
Right,
and stuff
which
like that.
is
paid for by the
bananas.
Wyoming Tourism Board.
Yeah. Which is actually where you'll see where the Bible happened.
But it would be different if
You're trying to get through that.
it would be different if all CTA bus drivers were anti-Wyomingites. Their worldview was based on lies about Wyoming. And everyone who
How do you know that's not true?
and everybody who criticized Ventra said that they secretly worked for Wyoming. That's what would make it. That's what makes it very difficult for me. Like if I were Alex Jones and I were Ted Anderson, I would say, "Thank you, Tourism Board of Israel. We appreciate the offer, but we don't want to accept this because we are afraid it would give the appearance of the thing that we are inaccurately criticized about all the time. It seems like bad optics for us. Thank you very much, but we have to pass."
Right.
That's what I.
But again, like this goes back to my argument about his anti-Semitic critics in that they give him cover. So he can be as anti-Semitic as he wants, and they are like, you're not an anti-Semite.
So he's running this commercial to bait them?
Exactly. That way he's not, that way he can play the victim if you call him anti-Semitic. He's like, look, these guys are anti-Semitic and they hate me, so I clearly am not.
Yeah, it's possible. That's probably like if you want.
Like to me, that's a smart move. If he was doing it on purpose, which he probably wasn't. But
I mean, there's so many layers of intention there. It's very confusing to me. I don't know what it means. I have zero idea. I don't think that it's proof that he works for Israel or anything like that. I'm not changing my position on that. I think your position is the most sensible because it at least accounts for the psychology of the individuals.
Right.
But
well, and then there's the other psychology, which is Ted Anderson really likes money.
But
and
also,
they were offering to give it to him.
But also, at the time, Ted Anderson was running a show called What Really Happened with
Don't go to Israel.com.
He was running a show called What Really Happened with Mike Rivero at the time, and he was a fucking super anti-Israel. He was a aggressively anti-Israel guy.
Right, but business is business, man.
I don't know. It's very confusing to me. I don't know the ins and outs. Anyway, in this next clip, I don't think we have a conclusion there.
No, I don't think there's anything concrete to draw from that
it's
at
just
all.
weird. In this next clip, Alex Jones lists a bunch of people who have spoken out about 9/11, and then comes in with a little bit of scare tactic at the end.
But now we have just everybody, all these physicists, all these scientists, Italian presidents, CIA section chiefs, Willie Nelson. I mean, all these top actors. Best actress this year. Bruce Willis, no longer being a neocon, saying they killed Kennedy, and the same group that did that basically did 9/11. I mean, they're losing all their own people. What are they going to do?
Well, unfortunately, they'll probably go to the tactic of desperation, which is to launch another war or to set off a terrorist weapon in this country, and then, of course, blame it on foreign terrorists and take more power.
Meanwhile, the very same elite, with the admitted superconducting supercolliders and other similar facilities, are doing things their own equations say good chance of blowing the entire planet up.
Good chance is strong.
Good chance.
Good chance is strong.
What is a good chance? What would you put that at, like 35%, or are we going with a really good chance of like 65%?
Neither. Much lower. So Willie Nelson is on par with scientists
and the Italian presidents. Multiple?
I guess.
Because this is back when Silvio Berlusconi was running wild.
Did Berlusconi say 9/11 was an inside job?
He probably did. Fucking 8 prostitutes at the time.
Right.
Yeah.
9/11 was an inside job.
Sex workers.
Get over here.
Apologies.
Get over here. So, yeah, I mean, I kept that clip in because that transition between Italian presidents and Willie Nelson is really funny.
So good.
But then also, just to illustrate that 10 years ago, Alex was still doing the exact same scare tactics. That, like, the next thing they're going to do is nuke.
Right.
That same. Because he did that around the election, too.
There's so
like this
many
last
other
year.
moves to make before nuke,
Right.
It seems like you've got
But he's not
you've got
concerned
like
with
a
that.
protocol of like, okay, if they do this, we do this. Like Nuke is at the very bottom.
He's not concerned with that. He just wants to scare people because then you can
Right.
make those ducats.
Which seems crazy, and this is probably my own prejudice, but anytime I hear somebody who is supposed to be an expert with a Southern accent, I'm always going to be like, are you?
Yeah, that is a bias you need to get over.
I'm sorry. The Southern accent really kind of invalidates a lot for me.
There's a lot of dumb people who speak like that, and it hurts.
Logically, no. Logically, it doesn't track, right?
No.
If A, then B. If B, then C. It doesn't mean anything.
Well, it's just the media perception that's been given to people with Southern twangs.
Right.
The gentleman's twang,
Well,
as they say.
I mean, they haven't really done a great job of representing so much.
It's not even a feedback loop. It's an elevation loop because now you have a foreign politician who's regurgitating your narratives back to you, which elevates them from your standard rabble.
Now I just want a Japanese translated version of Loose Change.
I bet you could find one.
I bet it'd be great.
It'd probably be riveting.
It'd be so good.
So it was kind of a boring...
Like whenever Jimmy James's book was translated into Japanese and
Super
then translated
Karate
back.
Death Card?
Oh, yeah.
Kill.
War. War.
So I threw that out. We don't need to listen to it. Who cares? But at the end of the show, there's a couple callers that I think are worth listening to. And here's the first one. It's a guy named Nick, spelled N-I-K, which is a good sign.
Let's go ahead and take another ring-a-dingy. Let's go ahead and talk to
He's so much happier.
N-I-K,
So much
Nick in
happier.
Arizona. You're on the air.
Hey, how you doing, Alex?
Good.
I just want to thank you. You're an inspiration, absolutely. Me and my brother started this website called lookupandwakeup.org here in the Phoenix Valley, and we're starting to cover the chemtrails and the surveillance. I just want to give you a quick example of what happened to me the other night.
Oh.
About 12:30 in the morning or so, I was hearing a chopper go over my house.
Indeed.
About 20 minutes later, I go outside to have a cigarette, and I see the chopper in the distance, and as soon as I step outside, he goes towards me. And then all of a sudden, he's
Did
got
you
his lights
get to
shining
it?
down different houses or so.
Good. You're Al-Qaeda.
Off the
You
loop.
can't have that chopper on the border. It's got to be on you.
Yeah. And then so he started coming towards me, and then he was flashing lights
He's
different
fucking
directions.
with
He gave
him
me
now.
a quick flash, and then he turned around my house. And it was a full moon that night.
Well, drink
So
fluoride. Everything's okay. Calm down. Drink fluoride. Drink fluoride. It's going to be all right. Submit to him. He's good.
So I was outside, and all of a sudden I'm looking around. I'm hearing this chopper, and then all of a sudden this guy's flying over my house like stealth mode. Didn't have his light on, and I turn around, and then bam, the freaking light is shining down on me like for no reason at all. I'm just standing up.
Well, you're out, sir. You're evil, okay? You need to be tracked and traced, and there's no more warrants, no more free speech. You're bad, okay? Submit to it. It doesn't exist. Trans-Texas Corridor doesn't exist. The billboard doesn't exist, CNN says. There's no toll roads on the roads. The Sintra isn't Spanish-owned, the Austin Chronicle says. Everything's fine. Go to sleep. Shut up. Submit to government. Love them. Drink your fluoride. Take your mercury-filled injections. Love them. Love them. Just please learn to submit to them. Oh, it's so simple.
It is.
Ugh.
So the only thing I want to say there is...
That was kind of a bummer at the end.
Well,
His sarcasm is bad.
I don't think that's sarcasm. I think he's phoning it in. But I think it's irresponsible if someone calls you and is like, there is a helicopter following me because I write a chemtrail blog. That's essentially what that guy was getting to.
Well, yeah.
I'm a target of helicopter surveillance.
The moment I started writing about chemtrails, now helicopters are coming over my house without their lights on.
Exactly.
1-to-1.
I think if someone calls you and says that, it's your responsibility as an adult to say, this is paranoia. You need to look into this.
And stop living with your brother.
Not scream at them, drink fluoride, submit to this, and
Right.
further their paranoia.
Right.
But Alex Jones makes money off paranoia, so he's fine inflicting these poor people and indulging their bizarre paranoid fantasies.
Yeah.
Because, look, the other day there was a fucking helicopter flying over my house for, almost the entire day.
Yeah, well, yeah, but that didn't happen until we started doing this podcast.
Right, a year and a half after. But there's helicopters all the fucking time. And you know why? I'm not too far from the, Lakeshore Drive.
Right.
There's traffic helicopters
All the time.
over it. Or, hey, there's crime around. And sometimes there are helicopters that are
Looking for crime.
Exactly. And so it's easy to interpret those things incorrectly.
I just got the image of the police helicopter pilots just being like, oh, it's 4 o'clock, boys. Let's go looking for some crime. And then everybody jumps
Let's go
on.
find Dan.
Yeah, let's go.
When you see a helicopter closely over your house, for example, it's easy to think, oh, this is suspicious, because you don't have all the information. In the same way, I get a lot of calls. When I answer them, no one's there.
Right.
And if I wanted to, I could play the game of people are fucking stalking me over the phone. And if I were to express those things to you, you would very likely say, that is an unhealthy way to look at it. Right. If you did that, you'd be being a bad person.
I would definitely be being a bad friend.
Yes. But you.
Although maybe it would be better for the show, Dan.
Maybe.
Have you considered that?
But it's the same level of paranoia, or the same style of paranoia, which is taking an innocuous thing that has an explanation and giving it the explanation that you want.
Yeah.
The reality is that whoever used to have my phone number has bounty hunters looking for them.
Yeah, well, of course.
And that's I've been like.
There's no other explanation.
Well, it's definitely the explanation that is I have to deal with. It's a bummer. You know what it turns out? With bounty hunters, you can't get on the don't call list like telemarketers.
No.
Turns out they can just keep calling.
Right.
You can request, hey, take me off your list. They don't respect that. Also,
hey, take me off your bounty hunting list, please.
Also,
Thank
turns
you.
out they don't believe you when you say, I've never met that person.
That's kind of their job, though.
Yeah, it's annoying for me. Anyway, Alex gets another caller, and this one I think is actually, this one illustrates Alex Jones's lack of commitment to the cause.
Let's go ahead now and take another call. Steve in Denver, Colorado. You're on the air.
Hey, Alex, good show again today. I was going to suggest, what if we had something like a Woodstock 9/11 big concert where we had one day where we had all these musicians and all these actors and famous people come together, and we just spent one day.
Wait, hold on. Did he just say Woodstock 9/11 concert?
Yeah, like a 9/11 Woodstock. Like a Woodstock all about 9/11. What's your problem?
Sorry. I heard that, and then my brain was like, no. And that was very strange for me. I let the clip keep going, and then in my head, all of a sudden I was just like, wait. Woodstock 9/11 concert?
You're mixing like
Is that a 9/11 themed concert?
Yes.
Should we have a 9/11 themed party?
No.
Is that in poor taste?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Like a pool party. And
Sure.
then we would have, you know how you have towers? We would have two people standing on top of each other in the water. And
in college.
And then the third plane would actually hit the house.
Worse taste, let's say, and I had less decorum. I was full of piss and vinegar. I had an idea for a 9/11 party where I had twin bongs. And the lighters would be dressed up as planes.
Very nice.
And I would make a 9 and 11 layer dip.
Architects and engineers for 9/11 Truth right now, we've suggested that as a media event, and we could just have one major big event that we could videotape, sell, and try to show everybody how many people there are from the.
Sure, here's the problem. And it's like that in any
I
society.
bet it's not the right problem.
It would take a lot of groups getting involved, and the groups would never agree.
Yeah, that's true.
And also, no one group, I'm probably the only person that could actually pull it off, could go out and get the celebrities. Because the celebrities don't know or don't trust, because they don't know these other groups. They haven't been around as long as I am. The celebrities just call me, and that's because they know I've been around a long time. They're aware of what I've been doing a long time. That's been batted around by people, but I haven't really actively gone out and pushed it just because I couldn't imagine the headache of it all.
Sure. So
the issue with a 9/11 Woodstock is infrastructure, booking,
first of all,
sponsors.
I agree with his premise that no one would agree on stuff.
Yes.
I definitely agree with that premise. Yeah. But then, it's like, the only person who could pull it off is me, and I don't need that aggravation. It's like, dude, you're not really contesting the claim that would be huge for 9/11 Truth movement.
Well,
you're just saying I wouldn't want to put that kind of work into something that I am tacitly saying would be effective.
It would be huge for the 9/11 legitimate 9/11 Woodstock. I would watch that.
I probably would.
Who do you think they would get to play?
Well, you would have
Willie Nelson, of course.
Absolutely, he's going to
the Italian presidents.
He's going to MC.
Yep.
And they have like a cover group of the Four Tenors.
Oh, do they?
Yeah.
Oh,
Berlusconi,
that's nice.
Can't think of any other Italian presidents off the top of my head.
Are there other Italian? There's a part of me that's like
Hologram of
Berlusconi is just
Mussolini.
being hologram Mussolini.
Yeah. Oh, Kid Rock would play
As one of the four tenors.
the Nuge.
The Nuge would definitely be
The
there.
Nuge is in.
Yeah.
Sarah Palin.
Would just throw his own poop at
Obviously,
people.
as we've learned recently, Jonathan Davis from Korn.
Oh, yeah.
Korn would play.
Oh, yeah.
I bet you could get a lot of new metal guys.
They would call it Corn 11.
It would be very similar to the Woodstock that happened. So, this brings us to the end of March 30th,
Yes.
2008.
Right.
The Sunday show has ended, and now we go to March 31st. And Alex has a whole new set of fears. He is no longer obsessed with CERN, although that will come back up in the very near future. Today, he's pissed off because the media is reporting that there are white people who might be in Al-Qaeda. And
well, that's clearly not possible.
he's taking that news tough. Let's say. I think
Because he feels a little bit of personal responsibility for the white race.
You know what? You're not far off.
I kind of think that might be true.
Let's play a couple clips, and we'll get into what his feelings are that are very weird.
There is no Al Qaeda.
Oh boy.
There is no real
Wow,
threat.
that's a good start.
And so
Right
they've
out
gotta
the
flip
gate.
it now. And by the way, here it is in the Associated Press. Mukasey, Attorney General, terrorist behind copyright violations. Copyright violations. Terrorism. See, all white-collar civil stuff is now terrorist. Forget misdemeanor, civil. Just terrorist everywhere.
So this, I believe, if I were to analyze what's going on here, this is a perfect case of Alex Jones twisting a narrative. He has a story about Attorney General Michael Mukasey, who is saying things about copyright violations and terrorism. And Alex has changed the story into being Mukasey's are terrorism, which is absolutely not the case. If you read the story here, what he is saying is that the continuing worldwide escalation of counterfeiting and piracy poses a threat to both our economy and public safety. He said that the mission of the Department of Justice is clear. Whether it's a complex international narcotics ring, a corrupt public official abusing his software, our job is to enforce the law and bring to justice those who perpetrate these crimes. He said, quote, the counterfeiting of products like pharmaceuticals and medical devices, auto and airplane parts, or electronics that go into our nation's critical infrastructure can present a real and direct danger to the public. This is in a speech. The point that he was trying to drive at is that one of the larger points was that the theft of inventions poses a threat to the nation's health and safety and can foster terrorism. And that a lot of intellectual property theft is being done by criminal networks, and the money that is made off of them can be funneled into those things.
Right.
Which doesn't mean that all counterfeiting or copyright infringement is terrorism, source of some funding.
Yeah, I would say that's a little bit scaremongering on his part. There is a certain kind of, but he is also being a little bit irresponsible with the way that he is combining the two.
Mm-hmm.
I don't particularly enjoy that kind of like. If you're gonna bring in terrorism, it better be terrorism and not copyright infringement.
It would be nice if we lived in that world.
That would be nice, yeah.
Unfortunately, we're looking at 2008, and Bush is still president.
So everything is
So
terrorism.
let's consider that just for a second.
Right.
Yeah.
That is one of the problems, though, with this show in 2008, is that whenever that guy was like, oh, well, they're going to call it terrorism and they're going to use it to take more power, it's like, God damn it, you are correct about that. You're just fucking wrong.
Yeah.
Why aren't you doing this? You're on the right. Like, that's what they're doing, but they're not doing it that way, and you're not helping us fight what they're doing because you're like, well, the problem isn't what they're doing. The problem is this magical thinking over here. And it's like, no, they are. Join us.
Well, and also
get on the right team.
And also, the end result of all this stuff is just rationalizing the, surveillance.
Yeah,
stuff.
exactly.
And so it doesn't charm me, like in terms of what Mukasey was doing and what Bush was up to. I agree spiritually with like being against it, but it doesn't help to lie about it.
Yeah, well, exactly.
Which I think is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Anyway, in this next clip, go get back into the idea that white people are joining Al-Qaeda. And this is based on a report that came out that Al-Qaeda was trying to enlist white people. And that's a reasonable thing to think because, I mean, most famously, we had John Walker Lind back in the early 2000s, who was a white guy who had signed up with the Taliban.
Right.
You have Adam Yahehi Gadin. You have a number of people over the years who have been white Westerners who have joined Al-Qaeda.
Yeah.
And in a clip that we're going to hear in just a minute, we will get the obvious rationalization for this, and then we'll get Alex's taking it kind of personal.
Weird.
Yeah.
Weird.
Just as I told you they would do. They're building this giant mechanism to track everything you do, trace everything you do, micromanage you, turn your national ID card off. Your pharmacist, your doctor, your lawyer, school teachers, everyone spying publicly, truck drivers.
What?
Neighbors, neighborhood tattletale squads, recruiting the high schoolers. I mean, it's massive.
Truck manufacturers.
Hiring the former head of the Stasi to train the feds how to do this.
Fire trucks.
I want to just pause that just for a second.
Dumps like a truck.
So Alex is saying that the former head of the Stasi is being involved in teaching people how to do this.
Right.
A couple years later, he would make the exact same claim about social media. He would say that the head of the Stasi is involved in Facebook and stuff like that. This is just something.
He's busy.
In the same way
He's got a lot of irons in the fire. The head of the Stasi isn't just going to focus on one thing.
In the same way that a couple clips back we heard him do the globalists are desperate, they're going to probably nuke or false flag shit that he does all the fucking time. It turns out another one that he's done for at least 10 years now has been, say, the head of the Stasi is involved in some shit.
He'll get in there.
Unspecifically enough that it's almost impossible to
I mean,
research.
it's not like he's personally involved. He delegates responsibility, but he's the one who comes up with the projects.
Perhaps. No.
Hiring the former head of the KGB. I mean, they're really doing it. Going for broke. And always Afghanistan.
Great Foley work.
It's to kill the Middle Easterners. Don't tell them that they're not Middle Easterners. Afghanistan into the Middle East, boys.
No, I don't think
it's all for you.
saying that.
It's all for you. So when they take your ranch and you say no, they can bring the SWAT team up and burn your house down with you in it. And you know what they're going to say? You know what they're going to do? You know what they're going to push?
You're trying to make up something now.
They're just going to come.
Improv?
Right in there and burn your house down, burn your farm down. And they're going to announce on the news that they were fighting Al-Qaeda. That's what it's all about. You are Al-Qaeda. You are the terrorist.
So that's his takeaway from this idea that the Al-Qaeda may be trying to recruit Westerners, particularly white people.
Is that it's actually the globalists trying to make it so everybody suspects everybody else, thus we are all terrorists.
Right.
Yes.
And specifically so they can get the patriots, and when they Waco them, if we want to use that as a verb.
Burn down their farms.
Exactly.
Yes.
Then they can just say they were Al-Qaeda. We already established it with a news story about how Al-Qaeda is trying to
recruit white people.
Exactly.
Right.
This is so desperate. This is so sad.
Good.
This is him.
It sounded like he just made it up on the spot.
With those long gaps.
Yeah,
definitely
exactly.
indicate that his little gray cells are trying to work.
They're going to burn something down. Burn something down. What do people burn down? Farms. That's all I got.
I mean, the farm should just be an indication that he's trying to speak to a specific community because he says your homes, your farms.
Yeah, exactly.
So in this
who are your listeners, Alex?
In this next clip, we get a little bit from Fox News about this story. And then Alex, again, I think he thinks they're talking about him. And that's very weird to me. Because we'll get to it on the other end of this clip.
Stop saying I'm in Al-Qaeda.
Most agency officers, most officers from other liaison services don't blend into al-Qaeda. So we're looking for people who we can fit into there as penetrations. Al-Qaeda, on the other side of the fence, they're doing the same thing. I mean, obviously, if they could recruit a Scandinavian, that's the holy grail for them. They need people who can move around freely and do their bidding.
And people who convert to Islam sometimes are more militant than those who were born that way, correct?
Yeah, you tend to get
and they always go to prisons, too, to get their recruits.
Right. You can argue the converts are always a little bit more zealous in terms of their religious fervor, but the part of the problem with al-Qaeda...
Been garbage the whole time.
Right. This, we need to listen.
We can map the changes in Alex. But Fox News has been a pile of shit since it started.
Pretty much consistently sucked.
Yeah.
We need to listen to this because you need the context to see what Alex is freaking out about. Because he didn't read those reports and what have you. But what they're doing is just trying to extend the fear. They're trying to make the fear bigger of Muslims in general. But Alex has a completely different take on it.
Is that to go into a prison and try to recruit individuals, that person's already tainted. What they really need, they need people who haven't run afoul of law enforcement in the past. And so, in a sense...
And then it goes on that it is, just like the FBI training manuals say, white male who locks his desk. A lot of times it says we're in management positions. It says we're quiet. Keep to ourselves. They're evil white males, and they're al-Qaeda. They're everywhere, ladies and gentlemen. The guy pumping your gas, al-Qaeda. That school teacher, al-Qaeda. In fact, the FBI manual says that priest, al-Qaeda. It says the Caucasian woman pushing the baby carriage, al-Qaeda. That's a quote. Al-Qaeda.
You don't know what quotes are.
Everywhere. They're everywhere. Take all my rights away, government. Take all my freedoms. Put a bracelet around me with a taser. Keep me safe. They're everywhere.
I'm guessing what he's talking about is FBI manuals that talk about the ascendancy of white terrorism.
Yeah.
And
it's the ones that white people do.
What we've seen the results of
the
10
domestic,
years later.
To me, I think what he's trying to do there is invalidate any possibility of you calling white male domestic terrorism.
Yes.
So he's trying to preemptively excuse. So whenever your Timothy McVeigh does all of that stuff, he's going to conflate the idea of them being terrorists with the government calling them Al-Qaeda.
Right.
So it's like, no, these guys aren't terrorists. They're mentally ill, or it's a false flag.
Yeah.
Because if they were terrorists, they would have joined Al-Qaeda.
Well, in the same way that the globalists are preparing the ground for you to have your farm burned down, and then they say that they were fighting Al-Qaeda in Alex's conception.
Right.
They're doing this so someone like Timothy McVeigh could blow up the Murrah building, and then Alex can say, they just, it's all a setup.
Yeah,
it's all
they're
fake.
going to call him. Yeah.
It's again, like what we're finding, I believe, is pretty decent evidence that the excusing of white terrorism and things that encroach upon Alex's white identity. That's a very consistent thing.
Oh, yeah.
This is 10 years ago that he recorded this.
Right.
And it's a very essential piece of his world philosophy. There may be nothing more. I mean, the guns might even be secondary
to white maleness.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's very weird. It's not that weird. Makes total sense.
Yeah.
But it's
a lot of those guys
have
it really, like, I mean, I would say probably as a terrorist force, white people are historically
strong.
They're the front runners. I would say
competent.
I would say white people have really been doing some terrorism for a long time.
Well, when I hear like a report that says that Al Qaeda is looking for people who can blend in, I hear that and I don't take it personally. I think that makes sense.
Yeah, exacally. Right. I would do that.
That's probably what I would do if I were Al Qaeda.
That's a smart idea.
Yeah, exactly.
You're not gonna get past customs as looking like you're an Al Qaeda. Like that's kind of the thing.
If you're a cartoon of a terrorist, you're not going to,
exactly.
Not that everyone is, but of course you would look for people who can blend in. That's just good. Seems like a good strategy.
Yeah, that's spycraft.
Alex hears it and takes it very personally as a white person, and that to me means.
He is somebody who has said in private, because I don't know if he said it on the show, but he has said race traitor a lot.
I would imagine, if not literally, yes, that idea in not so many words.
And it's, I don't know if he's taking it personally so much as more on the lines of, like, to me, what I can hear there is him being like, same side.
Yeah.
Which boggles his mind.
There's some
to
of that.
him, it's every white person is in it together.
There's some of that in there. But he would call it the West, probably, or something like that.
Yeah.
Some code. Anyway, in this next clip, we get at recently, when this episode aired, George W. Bush threw out the christening of the Washington Nationals stadium.
Yeah.
And apparently, they were playing the Braves, and the Braves tried to get him to wear a Braves jersey, and he said he didn't want to be booed. And then Alex's contention is that he was mercilessly booed anyway.
Okay.
He plays the audio later. It's a mix.
It seems like he had that coming.
I
feel like he should have been mercilessly booed.
He plays the audio of it, and Alex claims that he's getting like booed, and they just piped in some applause. But
they sweetened it.
You can tell that it's just a mixed reaction.
Yeah,
it's a strongly mixed reaction.
They Mitch Hedberg'd the sound.
Right. There are boos for sure, but there are also people who are clearly applauding. Like it's just a mixed reaction, which is what you would expect at a fucking baseball stadium,
especially in DC.
Yeah,
with the
this is him
with the shitty president there.
Yes, this is
and this is right before. So people weren't even really on the boo the fuck out of G-dubs yet.
Not quite yet. But he talks a little bit about that, and then he says something that's really ironic in hindsight, considering what he says about how Trump is going to save America. Trump is basically America's last stand. He's a bulwark against these globalists and what have you. It's just very ironic 10 years later.
I was reading the AP headline here, and it says that the Washington Braves tried to get him to wear a Braves jacket, and he said, oh, no, they might boo me.
Washington Braves?
Nah.
That's the quote. And then he went out wearing a Nationals jacket, and they boo him.
It'd be hilarious if he wore an Expos jacket.
Announcer just kisses up and just says, oh, that's the best throw by any president ever. He's God.
Didn't say that.
We got to dig up that Fox News one where you hear the booing and they just fade it down and then fade up cheering, and they go, they love him. It's like in martial law. I have that clip from his second inauguration where they're saying, cheer for him. Let him know that you love America. Do you see the propaganda in that? It's saying Bush is America. You love America, don't you? Cheer for him as hundreds of thousands booed and screamed and spit. But the national news cut back to wide shot and said, they love him. I have that in martial law.
Cool.
It's like something out of a dystopic science fiction movie made 50 years ago, where the emperor is driving through and everyone's booing, and then the announcer's going, they love him.
Now,
pretty sure they made a lot of those in 2000 and, well, every time from the 1950s.
Now consider, on the inauguration parade, where you have all of those shots of empty bleachers with the cavalcade going down the road, and Alex Jones screaming, the people love him. You get a complete mirror.
Consider the upcoming military parade, in which case Alex will, of course, say, look at how everybody loves the president. Who is America?
Our glorious leader.
Our glorious leader.
It's fascinating. You know what I'm convinced of, actually? I'm going to make a prediction here as we're in the past. I think that Alex...
Are you going to make a prediction about the past?
No, about the future.
Oh, okay.
I think that what's going to happen is, because we keep having these things happen where Trump says he's a globalist, and Alex is like, he didn't mean it. Trump says, I like taking the guns first and then due process later. Alex is like, I think it's a Machiavellian move.
Yeah.
Whatever. And he keeps saying, like, I'll turn on him harder than anybody, all this stuff.
Right.
I think eventually it's going to become clear that everyone but Alex has been right the whole time, and eventually Alex will catch up and something will happen that'll be too much for him to handle. And he'll be like, I wanna go against him. And it'll be like the child who thinks that they know what to do and they make a huge mess, and then the adults have to be like, don't help. You're making it worse. When the kid's trying to clean up and is making more of a mess, Alex Jones is the embodiment of that child who made the mess, thinks they can help clean up, but can't. And we just have to be like, shut the fuck up, go over there.
Yeah.
You're in timeout.
That's a great analysis.
And he won't listen to that, and it'll just be it'll make it
No,
worse.
he's going to
probably go to prison.
Yeah,
but
we can only hope.
Yeah, I don't know. It's so confusing to me. I don't know how that. Hey, I mean, prison or the destitute getting sued out of.
Ooh, homeless Alex would be a fun Alex to listen to.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Yeah,
he starts up a podcast. I mean, clearly we're living evidence that it doesn't cost much. He could do it even if he was broke.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Hey, you have to get some studio equipment.
Go back to your roots, Alex. So, speaking of Alex's roots, in this next clip, he rips off someone's intellectual property.
You're these little sandal wearing,
take all the guns, I love government, I am Bill Clinton, I'm bedwetting right now, I love you.
Just red diaper doper babies.
Red diaper doper babies?
That is specifically a Michael Savage catchphrase.
Red diaper doper babies. Red diaper doper babies. Red diaper. Doper. Babies. Is this not a brilliant, like, I don't know, like a Rugrats kind of series, an animated series about communist drug-taking babies? Little babies, red diapers, seizing the means of production, crushing fascists, taking drugs, and shitting in their red diapers. Red diaper doper babies. There's just a beautiful ring to that. Maybe this could be a thing. Babies. Hilarious. We could give him little chubby little legs and little chubby little arms. I'm not getting the proportions right. I'm just too excited. I just want to draw these diaper doper babies. Let's draw this red diaper. Yeah. Red diapers. What kind of drugs do they take? They're dopers. Maybe like each baby could kind of be like a different, like this baby does heroin, this baby's more into like psychedelics, other baby's just a stoner. Could have an angry alcoholic baby, meth baby, crack baby. But they'll all be unified under socialist agendas. They'll all be policy wonks. So when they're not, out buying drugs, they're having, philosophical, economic discussions. They're reading, literature, watching bread tube. These are diaper doper babies. Need a bigger head. And then who will be their who's the antagonist? Who's the villain? It's got to be some like slightly older kids who are capitalist fascists. Pigs. Red diaper doper babies. I can't draw babies. I can't draw baby face. I have drawn a baby before. I'm not focused enough. I just need to get down the concept art. They gotta look actually cute. So just imagine this but cute. Something like this, but cute. Red diaper doper babies. So, they will be babies. They will be communist. They will be druggies. We just need to write a pilot script, and I'll do all the art. I'll do all the animation. Putting a call out. Aspiring TV show writers. Let's do it. Let's make red diaper doper babies. They're babies. It could be like a funny show where you legitimately learn like actual shit about drugs and about side projects. We're gonna make a list called side projects. Red diaper doper babies. Okay, on another day, another time, I'm going to actually sit down and draw some concept art for it. I do want to see if I could draw funny babies that aren't this one. This one sucks. He sucks. But I might do that. Red diaper doper babies. It's got a name that I think would be intriguing. Red diaper doper babies. What is that? Oh, it's like Rugrats if they were communists and took drugs. Huh? And then, boom. You think it's going to be like some South Park bullshit. Nope. It's fucking educational. And hilarious all at once. Red diaper doper babies. All right. We'll shelve that idea for now. We'll put it on the shelf. We will pull it back down off the shelf next time we think about it. Red diaper doper babies. Could be good. Could be dope. Could be doper babies.
Oh.
Michael Savage screams that all these leftists are red diaper doper babies.
I don't
They're
know.
children of communists.
I don't like that. I don't think that makes sense.
It makes sense.
It's got a good little rhythm to
They're
it.
children of communists who smoke a lot of weed. Red diaper doper babies. It's fun. Anyway,
I'm out.
It's very much a Savage.
I'm a hard out.
That term may exist previous to him, but in terms of media folk, Savage that's a fucking savageism.
Right.
And a caller called in and asked about Michael Savage, and Alex was very wishy-washy on whether he supports him at this point, but he clearly listens to him, so he's ripping off his phrases.
I would watch a show called Red Diaper Doper Babies. And that would be fantastic.
Back to Muppet Babies.
Okay.
The two legs that you always see.
Yes.
Stalin.
He was actually very short.
Yeah.
You would see most of his mustache in the frame.
Not compared to the Muppet Babies. They're tiny.
How do you know?
They're babies.
Stalin was a short man.
So at this point, Alex Jones has a guest on by the name of Twyla Brace, and Alex wants to talk all about how the government's stealing your blood.
Twyla Brace?
Yes.
Where do these people come from?
I will tell you exactly where she comes from in a minute.
Okay.
But Alex, their interview is all about how the government's stealing your blood. And this is something we covered on a show in the past, so I don't want to belabor it too much.
Yes, I recall that narrative.
But the reason is that there are diseases that need to be screened for, and also It comes down to another one of these like, you're not that crazy kind of arguments about privacy. But in almost every state, they take any identifiers off the blood.
Yeah.
So it's not like they're coding all of your genomes into everything.
They're not trying to create a database out of it. Not a personal human database out of it, so much as a database of DNA and the like.
Wherein you can find trends and correlations between genetic markers for things.
Exactly. The more data you have, the more accurate you can be about it.
You're able to save people from lifetimes of pain and suffering, generally speaking. There are countless success stories from this. Anyway, the thing that I find interesting about it is that throughout this interview, they're very reluctant to say the name of the organization that Twyla Brace works for.
Miss Brace, why don't you, in a nutshell, tell us about yourself and your credentials and how you got into this and what your organization does, and then we'll get into the blood.
Sure. Thanks so much.
We'll get into the
Our
blood.
organization has been around for about 12 years, and we
both
started
referred
getting
to it
into
as
the
your
privacy
organization,
issue,
our
realizing
organization.
that the newborn or that privacy really allows you to give control.
So anyway, she just says some boring shit. Like I said, we've gone over this entire narrative, and nothing that she says when I was listening was like, oh, that's new. It's all the same shit.
Yeah.
This is actually almost undoubtedly where he gets this narrative from, this interview.
What organization?
Well, I don't know. Let's see if they say.
I mean, overall, the organization deals with a lot of privacy issues, but give us the skinny on what they're doing with the blood.
Alex wants to talk about the blood. They won't do a ways down the road when it's time to make plugs.
Assume everybody knows who she works for?
No, I don't know.
You think
I
it's
don't know why.
It's purposeful that they're avoiding?
Probably a coincidence. I have nothing to tie the two of them together, but it's interesting. But the Citizens Council for Healthcare, I should tell you, is a member of the State Policy Network. They are a member organization of the SPN, which has received significant money from the Koch brothers, as well as from the Claude R. Lamb Foundation and the Charles G. Koch Foundation, which are both Koch family foundations.
God, they're so evil and they're everywhere.
Hold on.
They're just fucking everywhere.
There's more to this story. The donations that the Kochs have made through these foundations are generally not disclosed. But in 2007, it was accidentally revealed that David Koch gave $125,000 to Pioneer Institute for Public Policy Research, a Massachusetts-based SPN think tank. Further, it was accidentally revealed in 2010 that Koch Industries gave $159,834 directly to the Texas Public Policy Foundation and an additional $69,788.61 from the Claude R. Lamb Foundation. Again, another family foundation of the Kochs. Extrapolating
weirdly specific amount.
Yeah, I don't know how to explain that. Extrapolating this out, it's
Mark of the Beast.
Probably. It's pretty safe to assume that they've funneled a ton more money into these SPN outlets directly.
Insane amounts of money.
In secret.
Yes.
Also, the SPN, the State Policy Network, received $10 million between 2007 and 2010 from an organization called, there's two organizations, the Donors Trust and the Donors Capital Fund. These are what are called donor-advised funds, which means that the fund creates separate accounts for individual donors, and the donors then recommend disbursements from the accounts to different nonprofits. It cloaks the identity of the original mystery donors because the funds are then distributed in the name of Donors Trust or Donors Capital Fund. A Koch family foundation called Knowledge and Progress Fund to Donors Trust between 2007 and 2010, but because of the setup, it's impossible to know where those funds went. Cloaked money from these two funds were funneled to at least 51 SPN member organizations between 2007 and 2011, according to the Center for Public Integrity. Twyla is also...
Of course.
Twyla Brace is also a member of the Heartland Foundation.
Of course.
Which is an organization specifically created to spread doubt about causes that would involve government regulations, such as climate change, healthcare, tobacco, those sorts of things. The Heartland Institute is basically an organization that's just there to sow doubts. Heartland also has received significant donations from the Kochs and their foundations. For instance, the Donors Trust and Donors Capital Fund gave $13.5 million to Heartland between 2007 and 2011. The The Lamb Foundation, we mentioned earlier, contributed at least $4.8 million to Heritage between 1998 and 2012. Further, Twyla Brace is a writer for CNS News, mostly writing anti-Obamacare articles. This is a conservative news site that is owned by the Media Research Center. One of the Media Research Center's main funders is ExxonMobil. Also, the Richard and Helen DeVos Foundation, the parents of Betsy DeVos and Eric Prince, founder of Blackwater.
May they be burnt in hell.
And the Lynn, major conservative, it's up there with like the Mellon Scaife Foundation. They're way up there in terms of like these weirdo dark money things. Also, Twyla Brace was a Tea Party activist.
Where do they fucking get these people?
Real early, she was a Tea Party activist and campaigned aggressively against Obamacare, going so far as to distribute flyers telling people not to enroll, and that if you don't enroll, then it'll never happen. We can all fight this by just not doing it. The Koch brothers, Americans for Prosperity, spent millions of dollars fighting Obamacare. The Tea Party was almost entirely bankrolled by the Kochs through the Americans for Prosperity and Freedom Works Foundation, which used to be the same organization that was called the Citizens for a Sound Economy, which was started by the Koch brothers in 1984. So, all roads lead back to the Kochs.
These fucking monsters.
This is something that we're going to experience very frequently with Alex Jones as guests back in 2008.
Everywhere. Do they... I don't know. Like, I want to meet these guys, and I want to just find out what it is they actually believe. Because I don't know if they believe in any of this bullshit, or if they're just like such sociopathic monsters that they're like, we will give any amount of money to completely dismantle anything that isn't us.
Well, it seems like they're just into deregulation super heavily.
Right.
Because their main business as they were coming to prominence was in oil, and it seems like continuing that involves government deregulation or making higher profits.
What I see from all of their stuff, though, is like secondarily, I think it's business decisions. You know, they just want any possibility of them being
pitch
regulated.
That they're jokers?
No.
Just sowing chaos?
No. I think it's much more insidious than that, in that they are less interested in the business and more interested in just like this vague concept of impunity. Like, I want to be able to do, control, and whatever I want whenever.
Yeah.
Like, it is a complete desire for autonomy in all things. No one can say, I can't do this.
I think
that is their only ideology to me.
I think that's an interesting thought, and I think as we go along, we'll learn more, and as we go along, there'll be more opportunities for us to get into what indications we can find here and there.
Right.
But at this point, we can say it's suspicious that when listing Americans who were deeply involved with the Nazis, somehow Fred Koch is not involved in that list, and habitually isn't for Alex Jones.
Right.
It's interesting that Alex Jones, and this isn't the only example of it. This is going to come up multiple times.
Yeah.
Alex Jones has a guest on who's essentially just works for a Koch front group think tank. So I think we're going to see a ton of that. I think we're going to see a lot of these people that are people who are on Alex's show who are just funneled from Koch think tanks to spread misinformation. So that's exciting.
We're never gonna win.
But at this point,
they're too big and too evil.
At this point, I don't think that there is a strong parallel or anything like that. There's just like little kernels of stuff.
Right.
Just like be a lot of Koch connections, a lot of. So I mean, I don't know.
But
we'll see.
And see, that's another thing that to me bolsters my argument is the most common idea behind this like dark money is they know that they're doing something evil,
right?
And they are hiding it because that's how you get away with doing evil shit.
Exactly.
But to me, of like, because I'm anonymous, I can do whatever I want.
Mm-hmm.
Because
we're hiding behind
different
8 organizations.
million different things, I'm doing whatever the fuck it is I want, carrying it out for me. And I don't have to put my name on it.
I agree with you.
Because I'm a giant fucking coward.
I agree with you that does seem to be the modus operandi. But I we're being pretty speculative, and I don't, in the same way that I don't think that commercial about Israeli tourism proves that Alex Jones works for Israel.
Right.
It's just weird.
Right. In
the same vein, the fact that Alex is, on some coke tips here, I don't think that necessarily means he works for them.
Right.
It's just weird.
Right.
And again, that's not even a one-to-one comparison between those two examples I'm making. I'm just saying this doesn't prove anything. It's just... Anyway, in this next clip, we learn that Twyla is a very paranoid person and probably belongs on InfoWars.
Well, this whole program is not just about the screening of the child. It's not just about the infant and the parents. It's about cost containment and prevention. And I think, it's good for your listeners to let that roll around in their brains a little bit, because cost containment and prevention likely means that we don't want any child that's not perfect. And we worry about the day where the genes of a child are
effective.
Yes, always. And there are ways to interpret cost prevention or something like that in a really evil eugenicsy way.
Right.
And there's a way to look at it in the way that people mean it.
Right.
And they're not the same.
No.
So anyway, it just seems to me like she's perfect. She's a good fit for this show.
Yeah.
But also boring. But that's on par for Alex Jones in 2008. This show's pretty boring at this point. Yeah, I'm not enjoying listening to it. He doesn't scream that much.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
he was just more nonchalantly sarcastic in most of the calls.
Yeah, so far. Anyway, we got one more clip from Twyla here, and Alex Jones pulls out his favorite subsection to try and impress her.
Yes.
Have you looked at U.S. Code Title 50, Chapter 32, subsection 1520A, paragraph B?
Yes.
I can tell that I have missed something in all my research.
Sure have. So has Alex. He has missed paragraph C. Again, we've discussed this over and over again. That's the that's the subsection that he uses to justify his belief in chemtrails.
Right.
But paragraph C, which is right after paragraph B that he cites, it says that informed consent is required for all of those things.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't make a justification for this blood stuff. It's not a justification for chemtrail stuff. It's nothing. He's just talking shit because he memorized something that he can say fast and confuse people.
It's very much the balance between the two. Like I see two big things of two buckets of how much water you're putting into each one is how much more important you think one is than the other.
Mm-hmm.
And to him, the paragraph B has all of the water in it.
Yeah.
And the requires informed consent. To him, that's just like, oh, they have to put that in there. And then they'll manufacture your informed consent later on. Like that's always his idea is
so stupid.
If you have any kind of thing and then you have a regulation on it, the regulation is a lie.
Right.
Even if it's there, like just as
such a not fun game.
Just as the regulations on oil companies for climate change and all that stuff are manufactured to destroy the very thing that they're supposed to protect.
Mm-hmm.
So is the regulation on the evil shit that they say really something that's there for them to destroy whatever it is that they're. It's stupid.
Yeah, it's nonsense.
It's stupid. Any qualifying clause is too complicated for Alex.
Ignore it.
Yeah.
It's probably there. It's bullshit.
Exactly.
So anyway, earlier we heard that Alex Jones is advertising for tourism to Israel, which is fun.
Yes.
What else is he advertising?
Spyville.com is your choice for everything spy-related. Stealth cameras cleverly disguised as items commonly found around the home. Night vision cameras, covert phone and voice recorders, powerful binoculars, security systems, and more.
Interesting.
Spyville.
Interesting.
Spyville.
For someone who's very concerned about the surveillance state.
The surveillance state is everywhere. Join the surveillance state at Spyville.
Get your own cottage industry of spying going. Very weird for him.
Who's watching The Watchmen? Spyville.
Very, very weird. I heard that commercial and I'm like, This is off and on brand simultaneously. I don't know what to think about this. But then he came back from commercial, Jordan. And listen to this shit.
Yeah.
And then before I forget, I keep forgetting to do this. There is going to be the biggest announcement this radio show has ever made. The biggest announcement in the history of this particular manifestation of my radio show. It's been
This is
here
gonna
for,
be big.
I don't know, I've been doing this show since 98, so 10 years, the syndicated show.
Oh, it's got to be huge.
The biggest announcement in the history of this radio show coming up next Monday. about 8
damn
days from
it!
now.
You piece
Really,
of
7
shit!
days from now. You will see a huge announcement here, very, very important announcement.
So important.
Coming up next Monday.
This is the Julian Assange of interviews right now.
So now consider.
Or teases.
At this point, Alex Jones had announced on his show that the government did 9/11.
Yes.
He has announced on his show that he predicted that the government would do 9/11.
Right.
He has announced that
Proven.
He has announced
Both of those proven true.
earlier, around let's say New Year's Eve 2000, he announced that missiles were being launched. Of
course.
And that there's a concentration camp at the Austin airport.
Both of which happened.
Huge announcements. What the fuck is this announcement?
It's got to be the biggest announcement in the history of InfoWars.
Would you care to speculate on what it might be?
He never dropped atomic bombs on Nagasaki.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That was a false flag.
That was a false flag.
Sure.
Japan did it to themselves.
Yeah, I knew it.
Stalin actually was just a cool bro. And you know what? There was a famine. No big deal.
So
what else we got? Berlusconi? Virgin.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, that's the biggest announcement in the history of InfoWars.
He's actually a eunuch.
Yep.
He's overcompensating.
Yep.
So I listened to this and I was like, there's no fucking way we can do this episode and I can allow that teaser to go on our show. Alex can play that
of course.
game.
Yeah,
I
no,
can't.
we can't do that.
So I skipped a week into the future
Of course.
to find out what.
The moment you heard that teaser, you're like, well, fuck the rest of this. I got to hear this shit.
So the big announcement
Yes.
is that Alex is adding the fourth hour.
God damn it!
So in
All right.
in 2008,
All right.
he adds the fourth hour,
Yes.
which at some point fails, and then we've heard the reintroduction of it in 2015.
Yeah.
So now we've heard him announce the fourth hour twice. But we'll get to that once we get to April 7th, because that's coming up in the future. But spoiler alert, he's bringing back the fourth hour with authority. So that's great. This next clip is a mic down moment.
Okay.
Because we get another endearing Alex Jones loves country music moment.
Wonderful.
Country boy can survive. Country folks can survive.
Oh, yeah!
Woo! Because you can't starve us out and you can't make us run. 'Cause when them old boys raised on shotguns.
And we say grace.
We say grace, we say ma'am, if you ain't into that, we don't give a damn.
We're back live, ladies and gentlemen.
Yep. We came from the West Virginia coal mines and the Rocky Mountains.
It's still
and the
going.
western sky.
Boy, it's hard to cut off Junior, isn't it?
And we can skin a buck, we can run a trot line.
Also, right there, that's where Alex Jones gets his skin a buck, run a trot line.
Oh, okay.
You know, he talks about what it means to be country.
I
He's
did
just
not know
stealing
that.
it from this song.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
And a country boy can survive. Country folks can survive.
Country folks can't survive a black hole chain reaction in a superconducting supercollider.
Old stereotype of country boys.
Mm-hmm.
Always survive black holes.
This isn't done.
And neither can the friend in New York City called Junior Hillbilly. I'd like to spit some beach nut in that dude's eye and shoot him with my old 45. All right, that's enough torture of the audience. I'd rather just have fun and play music here on the show. You'd have your hard rock music with your country and your classical. All
now.
Okay. Here's Gary Hart.
Well,
Oh.
Okay. Now here's this asshole.
Here's Gary Hart.
This fucking. Ugh.
That's it right there. I mean, that's 100%. That's beautiful. He even says what we keep saying. I wish I could just play music. You'd have a great selection of music here. Just play some jams. I think the world would be better if you would have just gotten on a different format
Imagine
station.
if he was like a morning, an evening DJ.
Right.
And he was just playing like the old country hits, and on the side he just threw in some batshit stuff, you know?
With
like it's 45 minutes of nonstop hits with some stuff in, and then his like intercut is just like, oh, that was a great song from Waylon Jennings. The government dead 9/11. Next up, we've got some wonderful, wonderful Willie Nelson.
I think
you guys are going to love this after the break.
I think you're
Again, government 9/11.
You're not going to get 45 minutes uninterrupted, and you shouldn't.
No, of course
I think a great radio format would be him listening to music and screaming over it, getting real into it.
Like a Joe Franklin situation.
He's having a great time.
Or a Joe Frank, yeah.
I think it would be amazing. I would really enjoy that. And then, he can throw... Like,
I met a woman at a bar.
He could have revolutionized DJing, quite frankly. Like, at a time when you needed DJs. Like, in the 90s, when he was coming to prominence as a talk radio guy, is right when Clear Channel was taking over all these, like, they were consolidating.
What you're saying is that Alex Jones, for a short moment there, could have been the next Cool Herc. That's what...
Well, he's never going to play urban music, but he could have been a Wolfman.
He could have revolutionized DJing,
He could have been a Wolfman Alex. Like, he could have done, like, with the... Like, obviously... we can't take away from him his creativity. The bullshit that he spins endlessly.
Wild. Yeah.
If he could direct that creativity towards a more benign format, you could get something fascinating.
Yeah, if he was just an anti-Semite in private, like an anti-Semite in private where he doesn't really have a reach.
Wolfman Jack probably hated Jews?
Of course.
We have no idea.
Who didn't?
Yeah.
It was the 70s.
Dick Clark hated
Yeah. Oh, man. All the game show hosts.
Right.
Bob Barker?
Hated
Come
him.
on.
Yep.
Hated him.
Mm-hmm.
Who was the center square? Do you remember?
Shadow Stevens?
No.
Shadow?
The center square in the...
Whoopi Goldberg was the new one.
No, not the new one. The confirmed
Charles
bachelor
Nelson
at the
Riley?
time. No! God damn it. What's his name? Now I'm fucked.
Richard
It's
Dawson?
over. No, he wasn't ever in the center square.
I'm just thinking of people from the Match Game now.
God damn it.
Are you sure it wasn't Charles Nelson Riley?
No, it wasn't Charles Nelson Riley.
Okay.
God damn it. That's going to kill me. I'm going to look it up.
Anyway,
I have to look it up.
Alex Jones had a better life in front of him, and he blew it by
he
not
had
just
such
becoming a DJ.
He had a beautiful possibility.
Alex Jones is done with like sort of content on this episode, but this next clip is really interesting considering that Alex in present day has said women by the time he was 16 or something like that.
Yep. Doesn't matter. All of them.
Hear this clip in context with that.
I mean, I remember being like 18 years old and looking at women and lusting after them and like unhappily wishing I could have them all. You know, that feeling, that anxiousness of, man, she's gorgeous. Man, I just want her. To now, I've developed to the point where I don't even desire women. I mean, I do, but that's a smaller part of my psyche. I just admire their beauty. I share in it, and it's not even sexual. I don't even know how to explain it. It's like I've grown.
Pull up, Alex.
And I realize that very few people, I don't even think ever even get to this level. And it's so much fun. It's so great to be able to appreciate beauty all around you and see it everywhere. But I'm already digressing, and I said I'd get into things the elite are doing that endanger the whole planet, but I need to get into this news first here.
What the fuck?
I appreciate women on a different level than any of you can ever understand. I was going to get into what the elites are doing.
To destroy the world.
Of course, but
I've got to get into
guys,
this.
I share women's beauty. I don't experience it or just appreciate it. I share in it and delight in it.
I think what he's trying to say is I have low T.
Don't know what he's trying to say.
I think that was him putting up the bat signal for someone to create super male vitality. Because what he's expressing there, I mean, I think.
I don't fuck as much anymore, and I think it's.
I think
I'm just not as interested. Maybe there's not enough variety. Married life is difficult.
Now he could be cool, Herc.
Now he could be.
I think that there's a way that a smart person could express similar things to what he's saying, and that there is when you're younger, you have a like just all-encompassing lust for women, and as you get older, you start to settle into an understanding of people's humanity a little bit more than you had when puberty was going on. I think that there's possibly something in there, but this is completely contradictory to his story of having sex with 250 women before he was 16.
Well, I mean, that was before he could share in their beauty.
Well, no, it just doesn't work.
No, of course it doesn't fucking work.
If that
None of what he's saying works.
No.
What he just said was the ravings of a fucking serial killer.
Totally.
That's what somebody writes in their diary before they strangle and rape women. He's a fucking, that's an insane person thing to say.
No. I don't think it's as crazy. I mean, it is coming from Alex.
Yeah.
But it's not, like, the actual content of it I don't think is that crazy.
No, that's Ed
Being
Gein.
able to appreciate women's beauty in a non-lustful way is, I think, what he's trying to express. And that,
Is it though?
I'm reading context clues, and I think that's what he's trying to say.
Look, nobody on this planet right now, I feel, is more in tune with the way Alex's brain works.
Probably.
So I'm going to lean on you for this.
Although 2008
hear,
Alex is a different Alex, and I'm still getting accustomed to it.
Right.
I still have to get my sea legs,
Yeah.
as it were, about this crazy ding-dong.
Because what I hear is there's somebody in his trunk right now.
No. The more
Also, by the way, this is a great time to cut in and say the person I was thinking of was Paul Lynde.
Oh, okay.
Paul Lynde,
Okay.
center square. Come on, man.
I thought Shadow Stevens was center square for longer. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I'm most interested in the fact that this is funny in conflict with Alex's claims of first of all, being way too attractive when he was younger,
right,
and having sex with 250 women by the time he was 16. Because
all of them.
Because he wouldn't express things that way if it was also like, he would be like, when I was 18, I felt this unrequited lust towards women, wishing I could be with them, but I couldn't. He would be like,
well, that's because he had already been with them.
No, it's not. See,
no, none of this fucking makes sense.
I'm confused.
Yes, I don't know what he's trying to. That is though. I see psychopath behavior in that, insofar as it is always a manipulation of his past to support his present narrative.
Right.
So whenever he wants to be like, I'm the manly man, you can respect me because I fuck.
Right.
Then he's like, I already had sex with everybody.
So much.
Everybody that you've ever wanted to have sex with, I already did.
Don't bother, I got it already.
But when the narrative is, I actually don't even know why he's saying that. Is there a reason?
No.
There's no reason for that, right?
And there's no prior context that's that makes sense.
He had a fight with his wife or something, and he just needed to get that off his chest.
No.
Like, what was fucking going on in his mind?
Well,
there?
the intro to that, what came right before it was he was talking about, having money isn't bad, but having money be all you care about is bad. And so he equates that then towards the lust for women.
Right.
But it still doesn't help. It doesn't, me telling you that doesn't give this proper context.
No, what did he talk to the vicar recently? What happened here?
And between that talking about money and him getting into the clip that we just played, long pause where he's clearly thinking. But yeah, so I don't know, man.
He does have sometimes that feel of all of a sudden all of his previous lies and bullshit just like catch up to him for a moment, and he's just this very open and honest person telling way more than he wants to.
Well, I imagine once it all collapses, he'll be one of the most interesting people in the world to talk to, because I think he has a perspective that no one can possibly imagine.
Right.
Like the idea of lying for 20 years, like even if he actually believes that the globalists exist, he has to know that he's lying about a lot of other stuff in order to reinforce that narrative.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
he probably has convinced himself and has the cognitive dissonance involved to be like, well, I'm lying about this tiny detail, but it's only because it reinforces the bigger thing that I believe is true.
Right.
And so that's fine.
Anything in service to the larger truth.
Small lie,
a
big
lie,
truth.
A lie to solve the larger problem is fine.
And I think once
that's just good tactics.
And I think once it all collapses, I think he probably will have an incredibly interesting perspective that I will go to prison and interview him about for my forthcoming novel, wherein I try
The Two Dans.
Exactly. Or I try and make peace with my evil twin.
Yes.
Anyway, in this next clip, this is our last clip. Alex Jones, like you said earlier, this is before the banks entirely collapse.
Yeah.
And what have you. Before we have the full-on financial crisis that comes in the end of 2008.
Which, hey, guys, you thought you were excited for Avengers 3.
Uh-huh.
Let me tell you something. The sequel to the 2008 financial crash is going to be huge.
And hearing Alex...
Black Panther just made over $1 billion.
Yeah.
We're going to lose over $2 trillion. Well, it's going to be incredible.
And I'm super excited to hear Alex's rhetoric as that's happening, too.
Right.
Because it's going to coincide with the rise of the Tea Party.
This is actually this is Obama's fault. He's running for president. That's why it all fell apart.
So, but he in this last clip is talking about the banks and what have you, but then he gets weird.
And they're getting total Nazi-like power over all the other banking and lending and brokerage and stock institutions.
Those fucking globalists.
See, now you're just going to have a few people with it all. And then there'll be another crisis. And then they'll offer the next solution as the tourniquet. It's kind of like one of those traps. The more you struggle, the tighter it gets. And they're just always there going, I'm your friend. Never mind, my hands around your neck. There you go. There you go. Yes. I love you so much. Don't struggle. I'm just helping your neck, just wiping some sand off. Don't you mind that? No, you're passing out now. I'm your friend. I'm the government.
So that...
Like, he's not... Like, this Alex, I feel like I could go out to a bar with and have a conversation with, and we would kind of...
Alex?
Yes, because that, like with the Koch brothers, they have the Center for Freedom Progress, which is like...
Americans for Progress.
Whatever.
Prosperity.
Who gives it? It's all this shit that's built under this name of, like, we're helping you, and what they're doing is fucking you.
Right.
You know, like, there's a point there that he gets it, but if I could just like twist the reason for it, just like no, it's not globalists, it's these guys, and they are doing. No, you're right. That's what they're doing. You're just wrong about how and who and why they're doing it.
But he's too dumb and entrenched to listen to you because.
But that's why I would go back in time to 2008. I feel like we would have more common ground.
No, because again, this is an example of the broken clock being right twice a day.
Right.
You have we know because of history that the financial crash is coming.
Right.
And Alex Jones is doing what he does all the time because he works for a guy who sells gold, which is warning people and saying everything is going to fucking collapse.
Right.
So it's not like this is the only time he said it and he's fucking right that this is what's coming.
Right.
It's just what he does all the time, and it just so happens. A bit after this, it did happen. And if you're playing the everything is going to crash eventually, if you just say it over and over and over again, it's coming.
When it does crash, you're going to seem like a...
Right.
That's what's so weird about now, where he's saying that everything is going to turn around and it's going to crash.
He is saying it's going to crash. He's saying it's going to crash, but it's going to be because of the globalists who
Right,
are
right,
fighting
right.
the Trump prosperity
Right.
movement.
Right. He
and
does
what
have us
you.
coming and going on that one.
Yeah. He has it both ways.
Yeah.
The only reason that I wanted to keep that clip in is not because I think he said sooth about the banks or anything like that, but because it's a good demonstration that even 10 years ago, Alex was still really creepy. He's still really gross.
He is
and
still
he's
really
still
gross.
getting deep into those weird fantasies where he's playing it out like, I'm going to kill you, and that stuff. But you can even note that...
Because he has somebody in his trunk.
Hold on. But even back in 2008, though, he's not as severe about it. Like, the current version of it is much more animated and much scarier.
Yeah.
This is just sort of like, he's not even committing.
Yeah, he would have gone, like, if he had done that speech now, he would go into, like, details of how they're taking you through the back door and going through and now you're being torn down to the basement and they have a gurney down there.
And they got
why wouldn't they have a gurney down there? They're the globalists. They keep gurneys in their basements. And in the basement gurney, they're going to have a gurney on top of that gurney.
And they got your kid's blood.
Oh, well, yeah.
And
they're gonna like pour it on you in order to gain your blood's adrenochrome.
They're going to make you get high on your children's blood.
Yeah.
Because that'll make you have even more adrenochrome in your blood.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's that sort of shit.
Yeah.
So, I mean, look, we've come to the end of the first episode of the 2008 investigation.
And we've learned a lot.
Look, I don't think we have. I'll be perfectly honest with you. Like, I have mentioned this along the way a little bit, and I think it bears repeating. 2008 Alex is much more boring than current day.
Yeah.
Mostly because he wasn't constantly in a state of being pressed against a wall and being a caged animal.
Right.
Like, he is a Wolverine who's has the back to the wall. At this point, he is fucking screaming about anything and everything in 2018. And in 2008, he had a much easier row to hoe. He has, he's got money coming in from the Israeli tourism board. People are donating because of his dumb documentaries that we've thoroughly debunked.
Yep.
And he has a comfortable existence. Like I said, he's still married to Kelly at this point. InfoWars is a small operation with only a few employees. He doesn't have a ton of overhead.
But it's an independent business that he runs.
Yeah.
That he doesn't have to worry about a boss. He doesn't have to worry about... There's so much going on about his life that
he gets to sit around and listen to Country Boys Can Survive, and have a great time with it, and then get into whatever he wants to get into, whatever narratives he wants to spin, and he's living it.
Right, but I you do hear some of that. Like, I'm sure he feels like he's getting complacent. He's not fulfilling his ambition in the same way.
He
like
may,
with
he
the
may
way
be
that
meant for bigger things.
yeah,
certainly.
like the way that he feels, the way that he takes those calls of just like, yeah, sure, there's a fucking helicopter.
He does
over
that
you.
to stuff currently.
Submit.
Though. No,
yeah.
That's not fair.
Fair enough.
He's dismissive of his fucking callers all the time.
Okay, fair.
Because they're boring and clearly lying to him.
Well, yeah.
Even he knows that.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But the only thing that's important about that fucking caller is not his snide dismissal.
Yeah.
It's that he is irresponsible and, like, not helping that guy.
Right.
That guy needs help. That's what's going on with that. But,
or he needs friends.
So I think that, in time,
There's no helicopter. Find a singles group.
Right.
You need a meetup.
Yeah.
Go bowling.
Listen, Tinder doesn't exist yet, but one day it will. Okay, Cupid? Chemtrails.
I think eHarmony was around back then.
Okay, he was a chemtrail blogger. Why didn't he bring up the subsection with him?
That's a good question.
Interesting. Anyway, I don't know. I think in time we're going to discover things that are much more concrete. But at this point, we have the beginnings of some indications of I don't know what. I don't know
This
what
is going to get weird.
Well, you know what? Here's the thing. With the 2015 investigation, we had a concrete thing in mind, and that was Trump. What about Trump? We started on the day that Trump announced his candidacy and saw what happened from there. Here, this is so much more open-ended because the Tea Party doesn't quite exist yet. The primaries aren't hot yet. We're laying a lot of context. We're getting indications of who he was back then and what the lay of the land is. And as that's the case, I think this investigation is going to be I don't know what we're gonna find.
We're gonna indict a lot of people who might not be the main targets here.
Possibly.
Like with Alex, back in this time, what I'm hearing is we're gonna get all of these kind of different waypoints starting to generate.
Yeah.
And so what we're gonna find.
Well, we've already found on this episode.
No.
The government is trying to take your children's
Yes,
blood.
of course.
Clearly comes from Twyla Brace, who works for a Koch-funded.
But that's what I'm saying. That's what we're going to find here is all of these sources and how it is that they are affecting his worldview now.
Yeah.
That's what I'm really interested in this investigation is like, how is it that this guy who is just like, again, right in the wrong way a few times.
Right.
How does this guy turn into the weird fucking monster that is just an unhinged, as you said, rabid Wolverine?
Yeah.
Like, where does this guy come from? Where do we go from singing fucking the Highwaymen to...
And the country boys can
exactly.
survive.
Yeah.
And wishing he was doing fucking radio.
God.
Yeah, it's weird. I think those are the two things that we're going to find. My intention in starting this is figuring out stuff about the Tea Party and the rise of the Tea Party through the lens of Alex, and I think
and ultimately it's going to lead back to the Koch brothers.
Probably.
Yeah.
But I think the accidental thing that we're going to find is the beginnings of all of his narratives, like you mentioned. And that's probably much more valuable.
Yeah.
So, this is going to be probably the worst time of my life.
Yeah. It's going to be long. It's going to be boring for you, and everybody else is going to have a good time.
I'm going to try and make the best out of it and make a show out of it.
Yep.
But thank you all so much for supporting us and all. If you want to find us, you can find us at our website, knowledgefight.com, just renewed for another year.
Hey.
We got it.
That's another year. That's very confident of you.
Yeah. It's cheaper that way.
And what? You can follow us on Twitter at knowledge_fight.
Correct. We're also on Facebook.
You can go to the Libsyn. You can find our podcast on places.
You can. Basically, those two.
Those two places.
Beyond that, I don't know, man. So,
I mean, I think the obvious way to start, as far as the evil that we're going to deal with, that's going to keep popping up again. So we might as well get it out now. Go fuck yourself, the Koch brothers.
What about Daddy? Fred.
Oh, yeah, he can go fuck himself, too.
Amen.
Andy in Kansas, you're on the air. Thanks for holding.
Hello, Alex. I'm a first-time caller. I'm a huge fan. I love your work.
I love you. Andy in Kansas, you're on the air. Thanks for holding.
Hello, Alex. I'm a first-time caller. I'm a huge fan. I love your work.
I love you.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Knowledge Fight. I'm Dan.
I'm Jordan.
We're a couple dudes who like to sit around, drink novelty beverages, and talk a little bit about Alex Jones.
Indeed, that is what we do, Dan.
Jordan.
All right. So, Veronica, we were on 136. It just ended. You're thinking you sound like Alex when you see stories on the news about actual child sex crimes because he doesn't really care about anything he says. I do. What should let's do now? So, I don't know yet. What I'm doing right now is I'm just testing this little shot here. It's hard to see how my effects and transitions work out in this program because it's so choppy. So I usually have to export it or render it, whatever they want to call it. So we're going to do that. Actually, let's make a folder for test videos. In my previous projects, I keep getting testing videos and like either keeping them around and like getting all cluttered and then sometimes using them in projects where I'm not supposed to delete them. And then deleting others. It's a lot. And So I'm trying to get more for the network project. It's going to go in the same folder. And I want to have the folders kind of organized by... This is okay. I don't actually know if I'll need that shot. Let's try something. I'm gonna make another timeline. And imagine we have, say we just have our film set like this. No, not this one. Yeah, we'll just make this a freeze frame. Oh. One thing we need to do is get the audio in here. Start laying this out. How's this gonna look? Where's our scenes? What's gonna be the general outline? So I actually think I've already mixed this down to an MP3. Let's find that. What's it called? Network Speech Audio Scratch 1. Okay. It's going in the pool. Okay, let's make a new timeline. We'll call this main timeline. Okay, on main timeline, we're going to put our audio. And we're maybe not going to use...
So after the vaccines come, we're...
I know that communist years ago reached out to me. It was an off-record meeting, so I won't. To renounce yourself and say you were wrong, you're going to have to come do whatever we say and collapse the... And then they're just going to cut the food off next and collapse the country and say, if you want food, you're going to have to come do whatever we say. And, and you politically have to renounce yourself and say you were wrong and admit you were a fraud. They have that truth and reconciliation communist thing they do. That's already begun here. I know that communist years ago reached out to me. It was an off-record. That communist. I know that communist years ago reached out to me. I know that communist years ago reached out to me. It was an off-record meeting, so I won't say who, but it was high level to me. It was an off-record meeting, so years ago reached out to me. It was I know that communist years ago reached out to me. It was an off-record meeting. I know that communist years ago reached out to me.
So here's one of those spots where I might need to go dig and find a recording.
I know that
and patch this over and kind of take out Jordan's voice. And I hate to do that, but I have no idea what the fuck he's saying. And it makes it so you can't hear what either of them are saying. So I either want to patch that up or I'll just take all of this part out.
I know that communist years ago reached out to me. It was an off-record meeting, so I won't say who, but it was high-level folks. The highest levels, the New World Order direct.
But I kind of it's kind of necessary because he sort of that's when he says.
No, that communist years ago reached out to me. It was an off-record meeting.
They reached out to me. It was an off-record meeting.
They reached out to me. It was years ago reached out. Years ago reached out. Years ago reached out to me. It was
years ago reached out to me.
I know that communist years ago reached.
But like who he's saying reached out to him years ago is being covered up by Jordan, and I can't tell what Jordan's saying. But the whole point of him saying like the truth and reconciliation reached out to him.
High level folks. The highest levels, the New World Order directly obviously reach out to us.
As high as Tolkien.
Maybe that's a good starting place.
The highest levels of the New World Order directly, obviously, reach out to us.
As high as Tolkien.
And they just said, you just need to kind of do a truth and reconciliation, an apology tour, and we'll make you bigger than you've ever been, and you'll be protected in this dangerous world. Because, they're saying we're dangerous and the world's going to get more dangerous. And I, of course, said, no, thank you to that. But, I mean, that's how real this is. An apology tour, and we'll make you bigger. The highest levels of the New World Order directly, obviously, reach out to us. The highest level, high-level folks, say who, but it was high-level folks. The highest, but it was high.
Let's start there. It was high-level folks.
It was high-level folks. The highest levels of the New World Order directly, obviously, reach out to us.
As high as Tolkien.
And they just said, you order directly, obviously, reach out to us.
As high as Tolkien.
And they just said, a truth and reconciliation, an apology tour, and we'll make you bigger than you've ever been. And you'll be protected in this dangerous world. Because, they're saying we're dangerous and the world's going to get more dangerous. And I, of course, said, no, thank you to that. But, I mean, that's how real this is. And, of course, it's all on record, too. But, you know when I tell you that, it's real, right?
No. So Alex starts talking about how he got this offer of the Truth and Reconciliation Committee.
Sure.
And he starts talking about how he was in these boardrooms. And then it turns into him talking about how he lived that scene in Network.
What? What?
Where Ned Beatty is...
Get out of here.
Yeah. And then Alex does a line reading.
It's all in a movie. What?
Where Ned Beatty is...
Boardrooms in D.C., the big boardrooms in New York, the big boardrooms in Los Angeles. I've been in them all. When I say all those cities. In the boardrooms.
This is like some Eminem shit. I've been in a mall. I've been in a mall. I've been in a mall. In fact, I've been in a mall. I've been in a mall. I ain't been in a mall in a minute, but I've been in a mall. I've been in a mall. I'm bending I'm bending a mall. I'm bending a mall. I don't know. There's something there. I've been in a mall. Every time he says I've been in a mall, I think he's saying I've been in a mall. I've been in a mall. What if I leaned into that and I captioned it with I've been in a mall, and I even like draw like a shopping mall entrance or something?
Like in the big boardrooms in D.C., the big boardrooms in New York, the big boardrooms in Los Angeles. I've been in them all. When I say all those cities. In the boardrooms. And, you get the little Howard Beale speech. Remember Howard Beale and Network? It's that speech. Think you just messed up a business deal, Mr. Beale? It's not a business deal, Mr. Beale. This is a church. This is a system, and you are a unit of this church. And Mr. Beale, in the final equation, we're going to destroy your soul. That's what we traffic in, Mr. Beale. You...
All right, I'm just thinking ahead of where I might want to put big camera cuts. Probably put a lot in there. I'm actually going to watch this scene again and see how a little bit of the editing style, how they do it. How often does he cut from the close to the far to the guy's face responding? And he goes so off script that it might not work out with timing or anything, but I think if I can try to match the pacing of the edits, that might help to sell the parody of it.
You have meddled with the tidal forces of nature, Mr. Beale, and you must atone. Do I got your attention there, Mr. Beale? You get up there on your little 12-inch screen every night.
Yeah. Okay. Talking about New York. The biggest rapper. I know for LA it would be Kendrick Lamar. But what about for DC? And what about for New York? Yeah, you're thinking along the right tracks. Let's whatever ideas you can have. I DC's the White House. And when we think White House boardroom, are there any indoor? I guess Oval Office would be like an indoor set that looks exactly like it. You know, like what I did with Europe is I just like stuck a bunch of like well-known bits of architecture all in the same frame. So I could do something like that. Draw some of the buildings. Draw like a White House next to the Washington Monument. You know, just have them all shoved together. New York Empire State Building, Yankees baseball logo. Los Angeles, like some palm trees, the Hollywood sign, Kendrick Lamar. I've got like a nice Kendrick Lamar drawing puppet that I could reuse. Image from the show The West Wing. Okay, yeah. Reference photos, West Wing. Boardrooms. He's like, boardrooms in DC, I've been in them all. And by that I mean all of those cities. He's like, I've been in every boardroom. I've traveled to 3 cities. The 3 like biggest tourist destinations in the US. I've been to. Did you go inside any boardrooms during their meetings? During your working vacation? What a fucking dickhead. God, the more this is a moment that always hits me every time I do one of these episodes. It's while editing the audio, it just hits me again how fucking bullshit it is. Even though I must have already heard it a dozen times and already thought it was bullshit, but just sometimes the bullshit just like hits you different. It's like on a slow release.
Cool. And you get the little Howard Beale speech. Remember Howard Beale and Network? It's that speech.
So as soon as he's saying,
remember Howard Beale and Network? It's that speech.
Remember Howard Beale and Network gives that speech. Right as he's saying that could be as he walks in the door. little scene here, which I might have to re-export these for the color, but let's just kind of see how this looks as sort of an establishing shot. And I actually might have to go in and change his clothes because I forgot to give him a tie.
I think you just messed up Beale's speech. Remember Howard Beale?
Remember Howard Beale?
Remember Howard Beale and Network? It's that speech.
No, don't start talking. Just come in. There. And let's make these 3 frames long. Oh, it only does one at a time. Come on now. Bullshit is more annoying the more you go over the bullshit with a fine-tooth comb. That's right. The fine-tooth bullshit comb. It's when you're picking the little bits of bullshit out from between your comb when you really appreciate just how fucking bullshitty it is. You know? It's... I once thought of this analogy of being like the absurdity of being in this flood of bullshit. It's all around us. It's just we're dealing with tidal waves of bullshit, ever increasing. And I reach down and I pick up a little piece of bullshit and I go, "Hey, look at this. This is bullshit." And you're like, "Hey, yeah? Oh, yeah? No, you don't say. You don't say, huh? Bullshit, you say you found, huh? Wow, I'd sure like to see that." Not. But, yeah, it's one of those things. It's like, hey, look at this bullshit. Can you believe this bullshit? It's like, I believe that you found bullshit because, I don't know if you looked outside. There's a giant brown tidal wave that just swept your car away. You're not going to work tomorrow because of the bullshit.
Remember Howard Beale and Network? It's that speech. I think you just messed up.
Okay. See, these are the little moments that I kind of picture, or that kind of help sort of structure this thing, right? How are we when are we zooming into the world of the film, to which we'll probably stay for a long time in the episode, but everything to this side, it's still going to be at the desk, Stackies and apple juice, right? But then we have our Wizard of Oz transition point when he...
Remember Howard Beale and Network? It's that...
When we have this background. This will be a nice visual surprise for the audience, because if you've watched my videos, this is probably the best background I've ever made. Because I copied another great piece of art.
Remember Howard Beale and Network? It's that speech. Remember Howard Beale and Network? It's that speech.
Ooh, and then just like a little camera pushing, right? Just a little, ooh, just a little Ken Burnsy touch of camera movement. So we'll put that at like 1.2, and we'll adjust our anchor point. We'll keep him kind of on the right third of the screen, and we'll put a little curve on that zoom so it eases out. So we need to put a keyframe there, and then, okay, at the beginning we're going to keyframe that as a 1. Okay, then it's going to come in like that, but then we're going to ease it out.
Remember Howard Beale and Network? It's that speech. I think you just messed up a bit. Remember Howard Beale and Network? It's that speech. I think you just...
Why does it pop in like that?
Jeez, that's... Remember Howard Beale and Network?
Picking specks of bullshit out my bullshit comb. Picking specks of bullshit out my bullshit motherfucking comb. Was it every goddamn day I just so far away? I'm picking the bullshit out my... All right. DaVinci Resolve and other video editing programs have this feature, but DaVinci has it, called adjustment clip.
Think you just messed up a business deal, Mr. Beal? It's that speech? Think you just messed... You just... Think you just messed up a business deal, Mr. Beal?
All right. Mr. Beal. So, I think Alex, while he identifies as the talk show guy, or the radio presenter in the movie, the protagonist, right? Alex thinks that that's like him. But he also really wants to be this guy. He wants to be the bellowing, scary guy who's...
Think you just messed up a business deal, Mr. Beal? It's not a business deal, Mr. Beal. This is a church. This is a system, and you are... It's not a business deal, Mr. Beal. This is a church. This is a system, and you are a unit of this church. And Mr. Beal, in the final equation, we're going to destroy your soul. That's what we traffic in, Mr. Beal. You... have meddled with the tidal forces of nature, Mr. Beal, and you must atone. Do I got your attention there, Mr. Beal?
Okay. Before I make a lot of choice with this, I do want to watch... I want to watch the actual scene again and take some notes about it. Because there's a few points in Alex's retelling that more or less correspond to actually what was in the film. Such as saying, you have meddled. And then he says different shit after that, but he does say you have meddled. And he does say forces. So there's these few little things, and I think I want to know what the movie did in terms of editing. Because they're all... Oh, I also need a close-up shot of a second Alex, who's who's the guy listening. Because Alex is going to start... he's going to eventually start talking back and making it into a dialogue. So I need another drawing of that close-up of the guy in the chair, which will be also Alex.
Attention there, Mr. Beal. They're on your little 12-inch screen every night, and you talk. There are no peoples, Mr. Corporations and companies, and each of us is just a little piece of that larger whole. It's not a business. I think you just mess with and we are the while you beg for mommy and then kill you.
Are we still in the movie?
We're gonna rape your children and then we're gonna kill them too. Okay.
I don't remember this part.
But we're gonna do it over and over again. We're gonna make copies of your children and we're gonna rape those clones over and over again.
This would be really weird to put in the movie.
See, that's the real speech, Mr. Beal.
Ooh, I could do some close-ups of the different film crew guys that I've made, raising their eyebrows and looking around as Alex is going, but they make clones of the babies, and then they abuse the clones, and then they make those clones have babies and they abuse them too. Let's see. What's going on? Where's my notes from before? Oh, Okay. So, the crew soundboard side eyes from film crew. Side eyes, weird looks, bewildered, or like the little clacker thing. I made it say like take 480 something. So should make them like make it clear that they're very tired of this shit because he can't get it right. Never gets it right once.
Speech, Mr. Beal. So, are you going to join us, Mr. Beal?
Okay, yeah. They went a little.
Beal? Mr. Beal?
Do you have Michael Savage's phone note? I just have, this is stupid beyond satire.
Okay.
Oh, so you're not going
to... Satire.
Okay.
Stupid beyond satire.
Okay.
Oh, so you're not going to join us? Well, you're going to fail and
Oh no. When some new person just comes in and starts asking weird questions, I kind of get my cockles up. I get defensive a little bit cuz we've had some weird bullshit. If you had to pick one video game to blah 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 blah. Yeah, I don't like these kinds of bullshits. I don't like your shit. I don't like your question. I don't like your style. It's just not relevant. All right. Yeah.
Of course we are.
I'm not mad at you. I just don't like that kind of stuff. I don't like nonsensical random humor or bullshit that's trying to like trick me into like reading shit out loud or saying shit. Okay, here we go.
You just can't take a week that you won't join us.
So now So now you'll notice that this has turned into a dialogue instead of a monologue of this character giving the speech. Now Alex exists within the scene, and he's talking back to the person, which is a fascinating, dramatic turn.
You just can't take it. But a lot more intense than that. I'm not going to show you what it looks like.
Dramatic turn.
Over and over again.
Okay, yeah. It went a little off track from...
Oh, so you're not going to join us? Well, you're going to...
So now
Yeah, so at this point, I think maybe in this one, we need to... We'll pull back out of the film set, and we'll be back in InfoWars, where the crew is playing them out.
Fascinating, dramatic.
You just can't take it. Just say, somebody really demon-possessed looks like. We'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen. Infowars.com. Tomorrow's news today. It's a demon feast, folks, and you're for dinner.
All right. It's a demon feast, folks, and you're for dinner. The version that you can get of this by Fudgy is doesn't have the music. It's just Alex talking and going, "It's a demon feast, folks." Kind of interesting. I wonder if I could find the original music. Maybe an in-studio band. Oh, that'd be funny. Cause the way it's sort of presented, it would be like this sort of like one of those TV shows from the 70s where it's filmed on a stage and they have a live band, and then when he says, "It's a demon feast, folks, and you're for dinner," there should be like big bubble letters, like stylized letters saying, "It's a demon feast, folks," and then in like cursive handwriting, "and you're for dinner." Yeah, conductor. Yes, perfect. A conductor to cue the music. Oh, that would be funny. Let's listen to how it comes in.
You just can't take it. But a lot more intense than that. I'm not going to show you what it looks like. But let's just say that...
So the music is kind of kicking in like...
You just can't take it.
So like...
You just can't take it.
Yeah, right there's enough time for a conductor to be like pulling his hand up for the cue and then giving him the one right when we hear
kick. But a lot more intense than that. I'm not going to show you.
Did I ever show you my conductor that I animated? I've actually animated a conductor. Someone conducting. He's conducting like a marching band conductor, which is not a true conductor, but hey, he's more like a drum major. But this was just like a fun animation exercise because essentially all I did was animate one ball, right? And then I animated one ball of like doing the 1, 2, 3, 4 bounce. And then I just copied it and used the transform to shrink it. And it not only shrinks the size down, but it also shrinks the movement down. And then so I could take that and make it the elbow and then do it again and make it the shoulder. And each time it's smaller, the movement's a little more subtle, which works because the hand should be moving a lot, but the shoulder should be moving a little bit. And then they're like, just like staggered. So like the animations aren't exactly lined up. One's a little later than the other. And it gives it this nice little fluid movement. You meant to say you liked the art and music video you shared. Thank you. Cool. Glad you watched it. Do 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 do. Oh, I have all this old stuff I still haven't made into anything. This is a video about... I made this on my drawing pad, my tablet that I got. It doesn't do like frame-by-frame animation with this program, but it records a time-lapse of everything you draw. So if you keep that in mind while drawing, you can kind of do animations. It also tracks like everything you adjust or play with, which Krita doesn't do that. If I was transforming something on Krita, the time lapse would only take a picture of the completed transform. But this will take shots of every time you move it and play with it and try different things before you like lock down the transform. So it lends itself to a lot more dynamic animation stuff, a lot easier to do a little bit, but it's always in this sort of stop motion form. And it's hard to make two things move at the same time because you can kind of only do one thing at a time. The dat thing looks cool. If you ever wanted to poke fun at how he says evil instead of evil. Evil. Debord. Yeah, I don't know. This is more intended for English learners, obviously. And it's just like one of those like spelling things. Something I like go over a lot in a lot of classes. So I thought it'd be fun to make. There's the bullshit comb. And the bullshit lamb. And the bullshit thumb. MB. As soon as you think, oh, every single word that ends with MB, the B is silent. But there's always exceptions. I doubted that dumb lamb could make a breadcrumb trail through the catacombs. I doubted that dumb lamb could make a subtle breadcrumb trail through the catacombs. All right. What are we doing? Oh, yeah, we're listening to this. So a conductor cue. All right. Let's think about this. Live bands, stage show, conductor, cue music. It's an eyebrow raise with baton raise. I played music in orchestra pits in high school and university. So I think I could actually get like some details about this experience, hopefully. Because when they're going to cue you in, they put the baton in the air first and then raise the eyebrows, kind of, you know, they'll turn their head sort of once and sort of look a couple of times, and then they'll breathe in as they raise that baton up, boom, and come down right on the downbeat of the music. So that's all a matter of just lining it up with the audio. When does he say evil?
But a lot more intense than that. I'm not going to show you what it looks like. But let's just say that the guy that stars in The Shining, Jack Nicholson, doesn't hold a candle to what somebody really demon-possessed looks like. We'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen. Infowars.com. Tomorrow's news today. It's a demon feast, folks, and you're for dinner.
Somebody there was like, we got to get him off of this. Yeah. We're going to throw on a 90s sitcom theme, and then he's going to have no choice but to switch into, it's a Demons Feast, people, we'll be right back.
Yeah.
Just can't not do it. Freeze frame everything.
Soft, mellow music of him explaining that it's a demon feast.
It's a demon feast, everybody. My God, that's beyond satire.
Yeah.
That is just, you can't do that.
No.
You can't do that.
No. 21st. No. 21st.
Do that.
No.
You can't do that. You can't do that. No. He says it a lot. If you wanted to poke fun how he talks, you're good at crossing out and writing over what he actually said. Yeah. If I catch anything like that, I'll definitely consider that. Got your ass. Woo! We'll get his ass. We're gonna go over it with our bullshit comb. We're going through every little bit of it. And then I'm not gonna pull out any stops. I've been trying to think of what's the I want to go as hard as I possibly can in terms of without okay, I don't want to do fat shaming. I don't want to body shame at all. I don't want to make fun of speech impediments, but I can definitely make fun of regular dialects that Texans use. And then his also idiolect, the way he specifically speaks. Those are all fair game. So that's the idea. But I hate him so much that I want to be as cruel as possible. Go full Kendrick Lamar on him. I wish I could Kendrick Lamar his ass. Certified boogeyman. That's what he needs. We need like an anti-right-winger, anti-conspiracy nut job battle rapper. Maybe Mac Lethal, something like that. Like just rip his ass apart. I'll try to do it through like in the telescope animation. Exactly. He calls it a refractor telescope. Unerus. Saturn. That's when I was like, God damn it, I'm gonna fucking draw this. It's when he said Unerus after saying Saturn. I was like, you mispronounced 2 in a row, and you're listing 5 planets, 6 planets or whatever. You dumb fuck. And then I drew him just passed out because he did say he brought a bunch of beer to go do that. So if he just brought a 6-pack of beer and drank it all, he's definitely gonna fucking pass out in his little chair. Yep. And from what I've heard, a 12-inch telescope is not like 12 inches long. It's like referring to the diameter of like one of the lenses in the inside of it. So it's actually really, really huge. Like I should have drawn it like in a truck. He would have had to drive a truck and have it in the bed of the truck. Get it? Yeah, instead of I hope you die in Fortnite, it should be I hope you get in the sights of Kendrick Lamar. May Kendrick Lamar diss you and let it be the song of the summer. I mean, there's every different angle to hate this guy from. Yeah. All right, I think next on the chopping block of things to draw. Probably Dan and Jordan as the crew, as like the director. Song of the summer. Yeah, it's definitely They Not Like Us. There has been a lot of great music coming out this year though. And Childish Gambino came out with an album this year. He says it's his last album as Childish Gambino. He just wants to be Danny Glover again. Maybe, I mean, he really looks like a dad. He's dresses like a dad. He's graying in his beard. And so maybe it is time to not be called childish. What if he could just be like growed up Gambino. Gambino growed up. Danny Glover is the guy who's not related to Donald Glover. Thank you. Donald Glover. I think I just always associate Donald as a name for an older man, and Danny as a younger guy, but it's the other way around in Hollywood. Yeah, Danny Glover's the older actor. Yeah, and Lethal Weapon. There you go. So you've been seeing this little kitty here, but I also got this little kitty here. That's wait, is it too close? Yeah, it's too close. Yep, 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 yep. Yep, yep. Pip, 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 pip. That's peppercorn. So, yeah. Anyway, Donald Glover, Childish Gambino, no more. Returning to being... What if I just doubled down? No, he used to be Donald Glover, but he went to Childish Gambino. Now he's going to be Danny Glover. He's changing it again. He's going to be Danny Glover. And the old Danny Glover is going to change his name to Gretchen Glover. Or to Danny Soccer instead of gloves. Oh, let's have socks. All right. What are we doing? So let's draw Jan and Georgian as director and assistant director. And we'll just draw them on a separate layer as our background. We'll draw them on a 4K? Do we need a 4K? Or can we get away with 1080p? 1080p. Oh yeah, peppercorn. It's doing fine. Yep, yep. Yep, 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 yep. Yep, 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 yep. She's so cute. All right, how's this gonna work? I'm just gonna open a new image. We're gonna import everything in. Let's do 4K. Then we'll just import this background as a scratch. I don't want to do it in the same project as the other background because it is taxing on all the processing power. Just have a copy of it here. But I won't use this in my final render. I'll just have the guys on a transparent background. So what do they say exactly? So the parts in green, or sorry, the parts in yellow, orange are Dan and Jordan talking.
What?
Where Ned Beatty is...
Get out of here.
Yeah.
You know, like in...
But it's here, actually, that they'll be film directors.
So this is stupid beyond satire.
Okay.
I think that
with your agent.
Do you have Michael Savage's phone number? Because he might be less problematic than you. I think that hit some of the beats of the network speech. Missed a couple of them. So this keeps going, and in my note I just have this is stupid beyond satire.
Okay.
So I think this part, let's make it apricot colored. And then we'll say like
okay, yeah. It went a little off track from
we went a little off track.
Network, but
you know, Mr. Jones, I feel like.
And then, okay, and then we need Jordan turning to talk to the actor.
Feel like that was, I think that was great. I think
probably do another close up. Do some close up shots. Okay. Just trying to think in my mind, like when they're kind of when he says
was I think that was great. I think we've seen all we need to see, and we will be getting in contact with. You know, Mr. Jones.
You know, Mr. Jones. Maybe just have a kind of close up and have the two heads just sort of the two characters sort of walk into frame, and then they'll sort of then I can have Dan pop in when he starts talking. And then
I feel like that was I think that was great. I think we've
and then maybe pop to a wide shot when Dan finishes his line.
Do you have Michael Savage's phone number?
When they start laughing.
Problematic than you.
All right. Okay. So basically what I'll just do is figure out how I'm going to draw Dan and Jordan as directors. I'm going to give Dan or Jordan a script to look at. And I want him to be able to like flip through the script like he's looking like he's searching around as Alex is saying complete bullshit. Jordan's like, "What? Where's that? What?" Like, and he's flipping, maybe going back and forth. Okay. No, not import animation frames. Let's actually open up. I keep projects with Dan and Jordan models called buckets. So I can keep them all on model and make sure they're always the same color and the same size and they always look the same. So where am I? What? No buckets. We will find it. Oh, look at this little face. You're so cute, camera. Look in the camera. That's a kitty cam there. Oh, hell yeah. Yeah, that's a good kitty cat. Here we go. So this is normal Dan Jordan. Let's make a new one. Dan and Jordan directors. And we're going to save this one in network speech. Let's name it network. Organizing. Ging, 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 ging. Okay, so we actually don't need this untitled one. Yeah, why not big kitty cat time? Especially when she's feeling photogenic. She's like, yeah, I'll get on camera. I don't mind. While I bathe. Bathing on camera. But anyway, this got my Dan and Jordan here. I'm gonna just clean this up. I only want Dan and Jordan. Let's make you yellow and you blue. And oh yeah, these should all be yellow. There they are. Okay. Jordan's put those all on the timeline. So now I've got their faces and bodies on different layers. And let's do this. We'll take... Oh, fuck me. This is a little bit janky, this program. Not always, but can be. Let's... Nope. That's not what I wanted. Jordan head. Oh, his head wasn't pinned to the timeline. So that not exactly janky, but also it's my fault more than anything. It's my fault. Okay. We're going to simplify this down. I'm going to take all these frames away and we're going to make new frames for a new video. Okay, so I've got Dan and Jordan, head, beard, face, his whole head, his arms, his body, his legs. All on separate layers, so all of those can move around and change very easily. And then I got Dan body. I guess I don't make his legs separate. It's his whole body plus his legs. That's his face. Head. With the head here, I'm going to take away this blue shirt just because it complicates things. Boom, boom, boom. All right. Network manager. Now we need to make them look like directors. How do we do that? So, maybe Dan could be wearing a little director hat. Is that a director hat? There'd be more on his head like that. Pepper left. So we can go back to Brainy Boy. Look at him. He's all tuckered out. I don't know if that looks like a hat. What even is a director hat? What does it look like? Not a baseball cap that says director. I want that one. Director's beret. The Spielberg one. Just from that angle. Let's see. Sidney Lumet. Let's see what he looked like. Okay. So the glass sort of common theme throughout. Did Spielberg wear that hat because he's a director, or do we think of that as a director's hat because Spielberg wore it? Or did other directors wear those? Where did that come from? The cliche. Just trying to get a close-up shot of it. Come on, yo. Okay. So, in about 3 hours, some people are going to come here, and they're going to find me, and they are going to deliver some groceries to me, and I will find them. And I have very special skills, which is to carry lots of bags of groceries all at the same time. And I will find those groceries and I will bring them to my kitchen. But I think for now, I'm going to end this streaky. I'm going to take a nap. I'm going to get my food and stuff, and then, you know, do my thing, whatever. And we'll probably get back together this evening for more stuff. So I'll be a little more fresh-minded. And then the next thing on the list is doing Dan and Jordan drawings. So we'll try to make them look like they're directors, draw scripts and facial expressions and laughter.